Hi, hello everybody. Welcome to Directly to You. This is the 96 Directly to You. Parker's not here, but I am AJ. I am joined by Pete for the very first time ever. He's never been here before. He's from LootPots, though.
Oh, so is that the bit now? Every time I'm on, it's the first show? Okay.
That's the new bit.
I was going to say, I mean, you called up the best, most storied guest you've ever had to fill the gap when Parker wasn't available. But if that's the bit, that's the bit.
It's the new bit. I embrace bits. That's my thing. So I found a new one. But other than that, speaking of finding things, we can find a new us if you help support our channel by going to youtube.com/fanatixfour, twitch.tv/fanatixfour, and paying $4.99 on either one of those platforms, or if you're on Twitch, giving us that Twitch Prime. Your mom have Amazon Prime? Ask her if you can use it. Yeah, exactly. Ask her if you can use it. You get a free subscription. And we stream every Wednesday. It's a nightmare because streaming sucks on Macs. But
so hard.
Yeah, I know. But apart from that, if you click the subscribe or join or whatever button, you get free loyalty badges, you get emotes, you get gaming time with us, you get Switch keys from time to time, you get access to our supporters only Discord where we talk crap about people that aren't in it. No,
what an incredible value.
Yeah, exactly. But apart from that, you can join our Discord regardless if you give us money or not, and we'll talk crap about people that aren't in that. So, it's great. It's a good time. Also, we talk about Nintendo games and Nintendo Directs and sitcoms, apparently.
Damn, there you go. Last time I was on, we talked about sitcoms quite a bit. So
you guys did, and I sat idly by. Like, I'd never seen. Well, that's a lie. I've watched The Office, but I've never seen Parks and Rec, so I couldn't participate in that conversation. But what am I talking about? A conversation I can partake in now is what video games are we playing?
You got there. You got there eventually.
I did. Always do, man.
Yeah, so I've been playing quite a bit over like the whole Christmas break thing. I was able to wrap a couple games, which was awesome. I knocked some stuff off my backlog. I finished up Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, I literally started playing that during
nice.
Christmas. I was about to say Christmas break, but that doesn't exist for me. During that whole season, I started playing that on our birthday, in fact.
I didn't even know we had the same birthday.
I didn't either. Parker said it, and I was like, oh, shoot. It's because your birthday's not on your Twitter like mine's on my Twitter, so I didn't know.
I think it is on there, isn't it?
How
else would Parker know?
I don't know.
I need to look now. Maybe you
mentioned it on Twitter's. I mean, on like the Lootscast or something. Or the
Potscast.
The Potscast. You got two parts of your name. One of the halves is going to be the one,
I don't know if it's on my Twitter. How did he know?
you probably mentioned it on one of your podcasts or something.
I guess.
But yeah, I started playing that during. How did you like that?
I really loved it. I think the conversation around it, like, there's definitely like a few glitches. I think there's definitely stuff that there's room for improvement in the sequel, but I think it's the single player Star Wars game that I've been wanting for so long, Like, I don't remember the last, I guess it was Force Awakens 2 was the last, like...
Yeah, before EA was like, it's ours now, we're taking this franchise. It's our IP.
And obviously, they have not really done the best with it. Your mileage may vary, I guess, on some of them, but I think it's pretty accepted that, it's been a bit of a disappointing partnership, and I feel like this is not only the first game in their Star Wars partnership that's really, really struck a chord with me, but it's the first EA game that struck a chord with me in a long time, because I really like a lot of their studio single party stuff, but over the last couple of years, they've been gravitating towards multiplayer and everything. But, now that Vince Zampella from Respawn is like on their board of directors, like, I'm hoping this is like the sign of things to come, that we'll actually get good single player games again from some of their studios, because your boy loves BioWare. So
man,
I want that so bad.
Put any of it on the Switch.
Yeah, right. Please give me the Mass Effect collection on Switch. Like,
it's wild that there's like, because of the whole EA thing, the only Star Wars content that's new is Lego Star Wars stuff.
Yeah,
that's wild. Because Star Wars stuff used to come to everything.
Yeah, but now we got this, and it's buck wild. It's great, and it's not on Switch, but I loved it quite a bit. I think it's got great characters, great story. The gameplay was really fun. It was really just a joy to play for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then aside from that, I also knocked off Life is Strange 2 on my list. I'm a huge fan of the original Life is Strange, and I only played the first episode and the Captain Spirit, like the free release they did last year. And I waited until the rest of them kind of caught up because I didn't want to play them like one at a time and like not remember what was going on month to month. And, they had like some delays in the release and everything. So as soon as December rolled around and the last episode came out, I was like excited to jump through all of them. And I knocked all that out on my vacation. And the only reason I'm disappointed I didn't play it earlier is because it definitely would have been on my Game of the Year list for 2019 if I had finished it in 2019, because it's fantastic. As much as I love the original, I think from a writing perspective and like branching narratives and everything, they did so much new stuff that really added to the formula and really I think made it a lot better, at least from a gameplay perspective. And I think the story was really, really powerful. There's some really, really good writing there. And, I think one of the things that was the most interesting to me is like the story is about these two brothers who are Mexican-American who end up on the run from the police. And I won't spoil why, but I remember like a few episodes in, I had this realization that every time I entered an encounter with a white person in a rural area, like I had this kind of like, fear going into it because I had like learned from all these different occasions of like, you don't really know like how people are going to treat you and how they're going to react. And like a video game being able to like elicit that feeling is something that is, it's really high quality writing, I think there. And, it's a must play, I think. So if you've never touched Life is Strange, like they're regularly on sale and you should check out all of them because they're all good. But Life is Strange 2 is cream of the crop. Very, very good stuff.
I just played the first one. I played the first one. I debated playing it was one of those things when they announced like there's this like interim thing and it's going to play in somehow. It's like in the same universe and it's free or whatever. I was like, I might play that. And then just, other stuff comes out and then it slips through the cracks.
Now that they're done, man, I would just like
run through it, like take a day.
Yeah.
And just marathon and all of it.
It might take you a weekend because each episode is longer than the old game or than the original one. Like I'd say each one took me about like maybe 3 hours instead of like 1.5, 2, Right. It definitely feels meatier, but it took me like a solid probably 2 or 3 nights to knock them all out once I finally like sat down and did it. But it was a great ride. So yeah, if you like the first one, definitely pick this one up when you get a chance.
Okay. Anything else that you played?
I also played After Party, which is it's from I think it's Bossa Nova. It's the studio that did Oxenfree.
Yeah,
like 2 years ago, and it was a really solid follow up. I think I didn't like it quite as much as Oxenfree. I think that the whole horror family drama of Oxenfree was like a really big part of the appeal, and After Party is definitely more of like a straight comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's to mixed results. It's definitely funny, and I enjoyed it a lot. It made me laugh, and it was a fun game to play, but it didn't leave as much of an impression on me as Oxenfree did, And maybe that's because I was surprised by Oxenfree, and I had some expectations going into After Party.
Yeah.
But definitely a really solid game, and one that I – like if you were a fan of the original, definitely worth checking out more of their work because it's good stuff. The voice acting's really good too. Really good cast.
Right. Sounds good.
Check it out.
There's too many things, dude. There's too many.
There's so many goddamn games, man.
So many.
What about you?
I've been playing pretty much just like the Pokemon stuff, like the newer content with which we'll get to, with like Sword and Shield. I played through the Mystery Dungeon demo, which again we'll get to, and also the mainstay Smash Brothers, which has been just like I don't know. I just go through like phases of like bad luck with people that I play. I feel like half of the people that I play have bad internet and they know they do. So they're like, oh, I'm gonna pick Rob, and I'm just gonna mash side. Like, so yeah, that's been that. But that's a good segue into the news, so we could talk about the Pokemon stuff. There was a Nintendo Direct, what many dubbed the January Direct, until it became a Pokemon Direct. And some people were like, I called it, I knew that that's what they were going to do. And, you know, other half people were like, it's fine, it's a Direct, whatever, cool. But, well,
there you go. You froze up for me for like a hot second there.
That's probably going to translate into the thing. But who cares, dude? You know, sometimes it happens. Anyway, we got the Pokemon Direct. It was a good time. It was a strange experience watching this because I didn't really digest it and how I thought about everything. I was thinking about how everybody else would react to it, just because like how Pokemon, like the status it has right now, you know, like how everybody like it's so divisive just for being what it has been for the last 20 years, but now it's on Switch. So like now people will have standards. Yeah, the first, so we'll run down it in semi-order of what they announced. They're like how they do it with the PR thing. It's weird, and they like go down from like this is what you'll probably care about most, and then run down the list from there. Instead of what I think is probably the better way to do it, and it be like an order of what you don't care about, with the last thing being what you care about most.
Yeah.
But for the interest of this, I want to go in order. The first thing that they announced was Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team Deluxe, or DX, however you want to call it. The official title is DX, though.
This was a really nice surprise, I thought. I really liked the original Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. I think it was
Which one did you play, the DS one or the Game Boy Advance one?
Blue version was the DS one, right?
Yes.
That's the one that I played, yeah.
Same.
Yeah. And I was really a big fan of that game at the time. I think it was like a nice, fresh take on Pokemon, you know? Like it's still a lot of the familiar trappings, but, you know, like the whole dungeon crawler kind of aesthetic was like a nice change of pace. And, you know, I thought that like the story was pretty cute. Some of the dialogue was funny. Like it was definitely a game I remember really fondly, and not one that I've been like itching for a remake of. But as soon as they announced it, I was like, wow, yeah, why haven't we done this yet? You know?
Yeah, it's definitely like a series. Like, I don't have too many specific memories of this game. I played the DS one too. Mm-hmm. But just in general, it was a series that's like, I really like this one. And it's consistent with the RPGs in the sense that, like, if it were literally anything else, I would not care about this game. But just because it's Pokemon, it makes me want to play it. Like a lot of people's like first take of this, like first impressions, like I watched Bob stream it, and Bob from Northern is like, I don't like this game. And I'm like, yeah, I can see that. But for me, it's like, I love this game because I just like the whole thing of like being a Pokemon and like that whole thing. I even like removed myself from like the whole thing of like, I want this Pokemon or whatever, right? I like took the little test at the beginning.
Yeah, the little personality quiz.
Exactly. And whatever it gave me was what I am. You know, like I was like, all right, that's cool.
What did you end up getting?
I ended up getting Eevee.
Okay, nice. So I haven't played the demo yet. I was actually going to download it tonight. But when I played the game originally, I got Squirtle, who's my favorite Pokemon. So I was very stoked on that. So
I think
I'm hoping I get it again.
I think the first time I played it, I got like Pikachu or something like that. I've never gotten one that I was like, that Pokemon dumb. I hate that one. You know, it's always been like one of those, like a starter of some sort.
Yeah. I like how you got Pikachu and then Eevee. So, like, this is the game's way of just being like, oh, you're basic. So, it's funny, man. A friend of mine, Mike, who's one of the guys who works with me at LootPots, he played the demo and he was telling me that it basically was like, oh, we think you're lonely and depressed, so you're a Cubone. And he's like, wow,
oh
that's
my God,
rude.
See, that's the thing. Like, I would be upset if it was something like that. I still would have been like, I guess that's what it is. But if I would have got like a freaking like Caterpie or something like that, I'm like, it's dumb. But like, I'm cool with like, you know, like the whatever. If they put it in an advertisement, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Which we'll get to the Pokemon I am in the Q&A, because that's a meme also. Because the whole let's go Pikachu and Eevee situation. But apart from that, they added new stuff that, again, I don't even remember if it was new or not. when I was playing it. They have the auto mode, which I did use a little bit in the demo. It's kind of weird though, how the auto mode just stops when you are near a Pokemon. It's like, I feel like battling the Pokemon is part of what you would want to do automatically.
Yeah, I don't know. I always feel like auto modes are so weird because it's just like play the game for you. It's like, why? Like what am I doing if I'm watching it on auto mode, you know?
Yeah. I think it depends on, like, in this, I think the fact that a lot of it is exploration and finding items and doing that whole thing.
Yeah.
And the auto mode even does that for you is weird. But something like, say, Fire Emblem, where the bulk of it is like beforehand, like most of the strategy that you do is who you have and what they are and like that whole thing. So,
where you place them.
Right, exactly. So like having that kind of auto mode where it's like, okay, I want you to do this sort of thing, right? I want you to avoid the enemy, or I want you to aggro them, or I want you to protect so-and-so, right? I can see that making more sense than something like Mystery Dungeon, where the point of the game is exploration. That just kind of cheapens the whole draw to the game, I think.
Yeah, it's a weird one for me. The thing that I noticed that was new that I thought was cool was that they added Mega Evolutions. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. Also, yeah, that's weird that they don't even have that in here. And they're like,
it's not in the press release, but like they show a Charizard Mega Evolving in the trailer. So
yeah, and that's what I thought. Like, because when I first heard the whole, like, they're doing the deluxe version, I was like, I wonder if they're going to do, like, they're going to add more Pokemon to this. Like, do the Mystery Dungeon version that the original game, but add like the newer starters,
new features, new
like
content,
that whole thing. Not necessarily that, but new content in the sense that like maybe there's new missions that pertain to the newer Pokemon, where it's like, oh, now you're battling a freaking Stuff It or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, do that whole situation, but they just straight up were like, nah, it's the same game, the new art style, which also is like probably my favorite part about this, because it's close to an art style that, because I make a lot of videos about like, I want Pokemon to be this. And one of the art styles I was talking about, I was like, I want it to look like more like like OG Ken Sugimori like art style, like
watercolor.
Yeah, like that whole situation. And this has that vibe
for sure.
If they make a like whole game that like is like similar to like Sword and Shield and like scope of like how tall the characters, like all that stuff, but it looked like this, I'd be down. Like, I'm 100%.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think this is a good choice because I am a huge fan of pixel art. So whenever you're going to take something from pixel art and bring it into like a 3D space, that's always like something I'm going to kind of have an eye towards. And, like I like the way that the original games looked. So this new style, I think, is a really good choice because it's stylized. It's got a very distinct flavor. It doesn't just feel like it looks like every other Pokemon game. So I like that. I think they did a good job of adapting it for a new generation and making it feel fresh.
Yeah, it's just weird to have something like Pokemon become like vanilla, and it's not distinctly, this is Pokemon. Like a Pokemon game, if nobody knew what Pokemon were, like if you saw a Pikachu and it was just a creature to you, that wasn't like specifically Pikachu, it doesn't really look different from something like Yokai Watch, for instance, right?
Sure, yeah, I can see that.
So, like, if they did something like this and made it this art style, or another thing that I've been wanting for a long time, just made it look like the anime, whether that be like the Pokemon like main series or even like the Origins or Generations art styles, I think that would do a lot for Pokemon too, just to like set it apart from everything else.
Sure, yeah, I can see that.
But aside from that, like, I played through this and it's like an hour. The demo, it's like you do like the first 3 missions or something like that. And it's weird because like you can take on more missions than you can do.
Okay.
And you can't remove them from your queue. Or at least it doesn't seem like you can. So I went through on the board of like, these are the available missions that we have right now. And I was like, accept everything. And then you're like, all right, where do you want to go? There's missions that you have in this forest and this cave or whatever. And then I picked whichever one had the most missions, and I did all of them, which I don't know if that's something that you could do before. I don't know whether or not it booted you after you finished the mission.
I don't remember. It's been so long. Like, I mean,
exactly.
they said in the direct it's been 15 years since these games came out, and
exactly.
I've never played another one of the Mystery Dungeon games after these. So
as you progress through there, if you, like I said, you can do multiple ones that take part in the same area. After you finish one of the missions, it's like, okay, you did this mission, but you have more here. Do you want to continue or do you want to leave?
That. That's a good choice for sure.
So I did that, and then like each time you leave the mission, that's the end of a day. So I finished that day, and then I came back, and then I took whatever other jobs were there, and I did the same process, and then I ended that day, and then that was just the end of the demo. But I still had a mission or two left that I could do, but the game wouldn't let me.
I guess it's just the way that the like rollout is happening, where like they said that like your save data will carry over. So I guess it's just like they're giving you access to the first hour of the game, and when you do pick it up, you know, if you pick it up again in March or whatever, you know, you'll be able to just have all those missions already ready to go and just jump right back in, which is I can see the appeal to that. It's kind of weird when like you think of it as just a demo, but like given the fact that they're letting you pick up your progress and keep going, I think I can see why it works that way.
Yeah. The thing that I find strangest about it though is that those are just side quests. Like it ends on a cliffhanger in that sense where it's like a main mission of like, you got to go do this, find out what happens in the main game. But the fact that you can't do the rest of that side stuff is just weird. Like I don't get why that is set up in that way. But I do know that, I mean, I'm going to pick this game up when it comes out.
Yeah, I think I will too.
But like once that happens, I have like $3,000 just sitting in the bank in that game because I got all the money, like whatever money I got for missions or found in the dungeons or whatever, I just put it in the bank. And I was like, I'm not going to use this in a demo.
Just stacking up piles of cash.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't even know if I'm going to use it in the main game because I have a whole lot. Well, in the main game, obviously the missions are going to be like longer or whatever. So like stuff like the hunger system is going to become an actual factor. So maybe I'll burn through items and won't be able to just sustain myself off of what I find. But in this game, I use literally no items, like not a single one. So I just have a lot of items and money just sitting there.
You'll be ready to go for the harder missions later on.
Yeah, exactly. But that was Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
So let's get into the main event.
Yes, the main thing. That was a huge surprise for me because, like, we're in that space of time where it's like, all right, what are they going to do?
Yeah, so I was talking about this on Twitter with some of LootPots' listeners and, you know, and like in our Discord and stuff. And it's like, oh, what do we think we're going to see or whatever? And I was like, I mean, there's no way it's going to have anything to do with a main game. They're not going to announce another game right now. Like, I was thinking we'll get an update on Pokemon Home. They'll tell us what that is, the price point, all that stuff. Maybe we get a look at like a Let's Go sequel or something like that. I figured we'd see Detective Pikachu 2 because we knew that was coming out. Like, I guess all these other things that, or like Pokemon Sleep, like all this stuff that we know is coming, but we haven't really heard about. Mm-hmm. And for it to be like, oh, no, we're going to stop doing lazy sequels where there's like barely any new content and like transition to a DLC expansion pass model was like, wow, okay.
As they should.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I'm super stoked about it.
See, the thing is like, the approach that I took with this is there were a few things that I knew for sure they weren't going to talk about that a lot of people were like, oh, they're going to, like you were saying, like Pokemon Sleep and stuff like that. I was like, they're not going to talk about Pokemon Sleep in a direct. You know, like that's like
they did announce them in a direct though.
No, they announced it in the press conference.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Oh my God, I forgot.
Like there's just specific branding that Nintendo and by extension Pokemon Company use when they're like, okay, this is like for the everybody's and this is for the gamers, you know, and Nintendo directs are for gamers. So yeah. So I was like, they're not going to talk about an app. I didn't know whether or not they were going to talk about Home or to what extent, at least, it was going to get a mention. Because
obviously they mentioned it, but it was like, it's like, oh, hey, it's coming out in February. We have no more information for you. It's like, oh, yeah. Okay.
Right. As far as like whether or not they were going to announce a new game, I was like half and half. I don't really like the rationale of like, we just got Pokemon Sword and Shield. I'm like, I don't think that matters to them. Like
that's the thing. I feel like if they were to announce a new game proper, it would kneecap sales. You know, like there's no advantage.
But
to
that's the thing. I
announcing a
don't
new
think it would, because they always do that. They always do that.
It's not always that close though.
It's usually in like the February, March period that they are like, hey, new game's coming out. We'll give you more details, but it's coming out in November. You know, like that was the gap between. It was like pretty much the same gap between Let's Go and Sword and Shield.
Yeah, I mean that was a really tight one, but I feel like Let's Go is a little bit different because it's not quite a main entry game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they kind of treat it a little bit differently. Like, point taken, but I was very confident.
I think that this what they're doing now makes the most possible sense.
Oh my god, yeah.
But I also don't think that Pokemon Company cares what we think makes sense. So for the people that are going to be the the fall off sales that are like, you know, that we're worried about of like, don't announce another game, it's not going to sell anymore. I don't think those people even think about if it get like my brother, for instance, he messaged me. He knew a Pokemon game was coming out. He messaged me 3 days before the game came out and was like, hey, when's that Pokemon game coming out again? I think that's the bulk of the audience that it doesn't matter if they announce a new game or not.
Point taken there, where there's definitely a lot of people like who are casual.
Have never watched a direct in their life.
And they don't care about that kind of thing. And like that's a legit argument. But I think you run into this issue where like if you announce, okay, there's another mainline game coming out, considering it's only been out for a few months now, like you want to give it a little bit of a longer shelf life where people think of it as like the new hotness. You know?
I agree.
So I was confident they weren't going to show us a new game, that we weren't going to get like the Diamond Pearl remakes that everybody wants. But this I could not have ever guessed. I didn't think we were gonna
it's just another one of those things that like I think that part of me wanted this and also wasn't writing it off, right? Like I feel like a lot of people write off the idea of DLC in a Pokemon game because they never did it before. But there's always a thing that they do that they've never done before. So it's kind of weird to like set your expectations by what they've done in the past, because then they never will evolve, right?
Right. Plus, they have like Nintendo set a new precedent for like Zelda had never had DLC before. Now it does. Mario never had DLC before. Now it did. You know.
Right. So exactly. So that's why, to me, it was like, oh yeah, maybe they will do DLC. I wasn't expecting them to announce it now. I thought that they would like do something closer to the you know, like the status quo of like sometime this year we'll get Diamond and Pearl, and then next year maybe we'll get DLC for Sword and Shield. But I guess this is a smarter roadmap for that. I don't know, like anniversary, like what Pokemon Diamond and Pearl came out in like 2007.
Yeah, somewhere around there. I think it was 07, 08, maybe.
Somewhere around there. So maybe they're trying to like kick that out until closer to a anniversary of some sort. I don't know if they'll quite go, like maybe 2022.
Yeah, it could be. I think what I am really stoked about with this is that it was 2006, by the way, September 28th, 2006.
Okay.
What I'm really stoked about with this is the possibility for how this could impact the development cycles of Pokemon moving forward.
Right.
Because
that was an interesting thing that they talked about in the beginning of this. There's a different director for the DLC.
Yes. Yeah. And it looks like a younger team member too. I'm not familiar with I don't even remember his name. I don't think I've heard of him before.
His name's in here somewhere, I think.
So you looked that up, and I think what I really dug about this is, you know, I think we talked about this the last time I was on the show, and we talked about it when you were on the podcast, where there's I think a reasonable argument to be made about the fact that there is kind of like I think there's a value argument to be made with Sword and Shield, where like there was a little bit less content than we're used to, and I'd argue that that's because they had to invest in like creating a new engine, and you know there was a lot of like preliminary kind of groundwork that needed to go into making Sword and Shield be the first games that come to Switch and everything a reality.
Mhm.
And I'm willing to give them a little bit of rope for that. And you look at this, I think this is just another example of them moving in the right direction overall, even if the advancement is a little bit glacial. You know, like we want Pokemon to advance quicker than it does, but you look at this, right? And I don't know how, like, I saw so many people
it's
on
Hiroki Tani.
Okay,
Is the
Tani.
director.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with him before. I don't know what he's done in the past, but awesome to see him taking on a directorial role. So I feel like you look at this, and I think they're setting a new status quo, you know, because in the previous generations, we got in this holding pattern of, okay, here's the original 2 games, and then you get the 3rd game or the sequel series or whatever, and you know, they used to be great, you know, like Yellow version was great, Emerald was great, Platinum was great. But I think after that, it really, for me, it lost its luster. And I think Ultra Sun and Moon was the most egregious example where I picked that up and it's like, there's almost nothing that's different in that game. And it certainly wasn't worth a full priced game. So when it came to the idea of them putting out like a 3rd game in this series or a Ultra Sword and Shield or whatever, there was no way I was going to pay $60 to play these games again, you know? So the fact that instead of that, for $30, we're getting 2 legitimate expansions that are new, totally fleshed out areas that add a legitimate amount of new content, new Pokemon, like all these things that people were hoping for in terms of like stuff from the old decks, bringing in new like, you know, competitive items and stuff like that again. And like, that's all awesome stuff. And I'm way into this as the path forward for how Pokemon gets developed. And I'm thinking that it could have long-term ramifications for the dev cycles in a really positive way, where you look at the return.
That was something that we talked about. I don't know specifically which show,
whichever one.
Right. But we said that like the only real way that they could change the dev cycle the way that they currently do it is by prolonging the life of this current generation.
Right.
Because in the past, it didn't really seem that they developed games. They developed generations. So they thought like, okay, what's Pokemon going to look like on the DS, or what's it going to look like in the second half of 3DS's life cycle, you know, like that sort of thing, rather than saying like, okay, what's Pokemon Sword and Shield going to be? And then we'll think about what the engine is and like all that other stuff when Diamond and Pearl gets remade, you know, like they don't really, or at least they haven't really done it like that. And I think that that's more of the way that people would want them to do it and expect that they do it. But they just don't.
But I think this is clearly better because it's like this is a way more pro-consumer move, you know? Because it's like if I buy one of these versions and this DLC pack, grand total, you're spending $90 on a Pokemon game.
Right.
But you used to be spending $80 to get the same game essentially twice, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, and the thing about it is, just how, and I saw a headline from I know what the YouTube channel is, but I don't want to do that. But they're basically like, you're spending $180 for all the Pokemon and Pokemon Sword and shit.
Oh my God, dude. Like I got in an argument with somebody who's a friend of mine where they were talking about, it's like, oh, it's kind of messed up that they said that they weren't going to have the national decks and now they're charging for these Pokemon. And it's like, they're not charging for the Pokemon. It was explicitly stated in the Direct. If you actually watch the Direct, instead of going on Reddit and listening to people complain.
Nice.
Yeah, I remembered. You know, these are these same people who are committed to the narrative that this game is bad and Game Freak screwed us over, and they're patently lying. There is no charge for the Pokemon.
People were going over, like, just above and beyond with trying to make this bad news. Like when me and Parker were streaming this, a good portion of, like, even, you know, like, again, influencers and stuff, right, are on Twitter talking about like, oh, it looks like this is going to be $30 for all the parts, so you're going to be spending another $60 for this expansion pass. Like, they didn't say that anywhere. They literally said in the Direct, more than one way, both on the screen and audibly, that this all is one package. It's for the crown and the armor expansion.
Right.
That's one pass that you pay $30 for, and that's it.
You're only paying $60 if you want it for both versions.
Exactly.
You don't need to do that. And if you want to do that, that's your prerogative. That's not them taking advantage of you. That's you deciding that you want to buy the same game twice and the same DLC pack twice. And if that's what you want to do, God bless. But
just like people look at like, oh, I think they should stop releasing 2 versions because that incentivizes people to buy both. And it's like, no, it incentivizes people to have friends
and trade, right?
Yeah, exactly. And say, hey, man, I have Sword. Do you have Shield? You want to trade?
I don't buy both versions. I haven't done that since I was like 10.
See, the thing is, like, I haven't bought both versions, and I have financial incentive to, where it's like I could stream Shield, but I don't need to do that. It's like I have Sword, I have all the Pokemon. It's easy to just say, yo, even if you're not like in my position where I have people that like, are tweeting me and stuff like that, like, yo, you need Pokemon or whatever. Like, even if that's not you, there's Discord servers like ours that you can join and talk to the people like that do have those Pokemon and will be more than willing.
Dude, on the LootPots Discord, we have a channel that's just Pokemon trades.
So do we.
And that's like all, it's like that's all I had to do. Like I jumped in there and I was like, yo, who's got a Galarian Ponyta for me? I want to play through the game with one. And somebody hooked me up,
Exactly.
Like it's not that hard. And like that whole narrative is just BS. And I feel like you look at this, right? And now I'm really excited by what this means because instead of them scrambling to do a lazy port of like Ultra Sun and Moon style where they add like maybe like 20% new content or whatever, most of it's just recycled stuff. Like this actually, not only are you as a player, as a consumer getting more bang for your buck, it's also encouraging them to do new things and learn. Like you look at both of these expansions, right? They said both the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra are going to be open areas like the wild area with a fully motivational, like manipulative camera and all that stuff. And it's like, oh, cool. So this is a glimpse at the future of what Pokemon's probably going to look like. And rather than them having to just like remake a game over and add a tiny bit of content to justify you buying it twice, now they're actually pushing themselves to do something new and learn how they can use the engine and innovate and take that feedback and like get us ready for the next generation to have more substantial upgrades. And it's a longer dev cycle now because if this game gets a 2-year cycle of it being the main Pokemon game, that's longer time from them to put into pre-pro for the next game. That's more time for them to work on models so that the next time the game comes out, they have the national decks. And now all you crybabies don't have to throw your hands up. This is such an obviously good thing as long as you and I are both correct with what we said when we talked about the game when it first came out, that this feels like the first step towards things to come. Rather than, I think it's clear that this game is like, this is the growing pains. This is the stopgap. But I think we're moving towards a future where we get the Pokemon game that we all want.
Yeah. And I think that if this is the way that they're thinking about Pokemon moving forward, they could extend it even longer than we think by saying, okay, here's Pokemon Sword and Shield. Here's the Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion pack the year after that. And here's Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. And then the year after that, here's the Diamond and Pearl expansion pack.
Right.
Like they could very well do that.
And they can continue to because I think they've gotten probably used to the idea of getting the annualized income from releasing a game every year. But it's like, dude, they have all these spinoffs they can do, right? Like, okay, we're doing the Mystery Dungeon spinoff. That's a Pokemon game that's coming out this year. That's new, more or less, and new to a lot of people at least. Great. We know Detective Pikachu 2 is coming. Maybe that comes out next year, and that, and then like maybe we get a Let's Go sequel or we get the Gen 4 remakes or whatever, and they can continue this like cycle of giving us like maybe they get 2 to 3 years to develop the next Pokemon instead of like 1.5. Like that's awesome. That's definitely a good thing.
Yeah, agreed. So let's look at some of the more specific stuff about this. I pulled out some of the they sort of have it bullet pointed on here, so I kind of try to extrapolate on that. As far as like what they're adding for like the big bullet points that I saw, they have new items spread across the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra. that help with your journey, like an experience charm that'll come in handy when leveling up your Pokemon. Which that was the thing that like Bob he brought up because he was streaming Mystery Dungeon after this.
Yeah.
And like, what are they doing in terms of like levels? He's like, are they going to raise the level cap? And I'm like, yeah, Pokemon doesn't really work like that. But I would expect that like these new areas, they have a higher ceiling for like the wild Pokemon, right? Like
Sure,
I could see like the Isle of Armor, like their wild Pokemon being all level 80s, and then like the Crown Tundra all level 90s or even 100s, right?
Sure.
Especially if like a big part of this is like, hey, we had the experience charm. I think that makes it even easier to level up your Pokemon. Right. I think that there's going to be a lot of high level Pokemon in this expansion.
And I think probably even more so than that, it'll be the trainers.
Yeah,
like it'll be like the dojo stuff that you're doing in the Isle of Armor, and like all the legendary stuff that's in the Crown Tundra. Like, I'm sure that there'll be a lot of like just NPCs that have higher level Pokemon than like the Elite Four, or that are in that kind of level where you can just like pick up and keep going.
Yeah, and then they have stuff like new move tutors that they're adding. More
they're bringing back apricorns.
Yeah, which like that was the thing that like because the ball guy. Game, and he was like, here's a lure ball or here's a heavy ball. Like I feel like I wish that I could buy heavy balls because I need them more than any Pokeball in this game most of the time. Because it's like you got this whole freaking event about Gigantamax Snorlax. Like, only got one heavy ball, dude.
Right.
But if I
could with like quick balls, which are like ace, so
quick balls are easy.
You can actually buy them, right?
Yeah, you can buy them in the wild area. Well, you could buy them both in the wild area and in Wyndham or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
But I mean, it's more economical in the wild area because they're like 50 watts or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I can get them with apricots, it'll be even easier. So.
Well,
probably.
I don't know.
I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see how many there are.
It depends on how it works. Because if it's like in past games where it's like you pick the apricots and then you go to the Kurt and you're like, here, Kurt, maybe
it's like, come back tomorrow.
You tomorrow, kid. It's like I can't. Even if I farm 999 apricots or whatever, it's going to take me longer to like get him to do like to make those in the Pokeballs than it would be for me to like just walk up to the vendors in the wild area and give them like 100,000 watts or something.
Yeah, for
to
sure.
Max out my inventory almost. So I think that he'll be good for the Pokeballs that you can't buy, but I don't know about everything else.
I hope it's that there is like a better system for it where you're not like, even if you have to wait a day, if you could do as many as you want at a time, like
right. I think in Heart Gold and Soul Silver you could do as many as you want. Like, but they have to be like the same kind. So like if you're like, I want freaking lure balls, I think they're like green apricots. You go to him and you're like, I want lure balls. Here's 99 green apricots. And he's like, all right, see you tomorrow. I think that it could probably be something similar to that, but it would be even better if you could say, I want heavy balls and I want lower balls and I want fast balls or whatever, right? Here's all of those. Make me them. And he's like, all right, see you tomorrow. Like that, that would be a good compromise too.
I got to think they're going to make it a lot easier because that's what they've done with everything in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Like the name of this game is making things more convenient. So like, I can't imagine that they're going to like limit you like that. That would be so weird.
Yeah, it would be. But I mean, it wouldn't super surprise me either because stuff like in the wild area, they try to limit you like that, where it's like, hey, here's the Pokemon that are going to spawn in this thing, and if you want something different, either clear them out and then use like wishing pieces and stuff like that, or wait until tomorrow.
Yeah.
So they still do have those things where it's like, all right, wait until tomorrow and things will change. But it would make a lot of sense if it was just a thing of like maybe you pay for them now or something, and that be the way that they wall the like your access to it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If they even still feel the need to do that with this specific part of it. But there's some other interesting things about this that caught my attention. Maybe you have other specific things that caught yours. Like Galarian Slowpoke. Like, what does that mean? Does that mean that we're going to get even more Galarian Pokemon that aren't, and the Galarian legendaries and stuff like that? Like, what?
Yeah, I don't think those will be the only new Galarian Pokemon. And I was so hype on Galarian Slowpoke because Slowpoke's one of my favorite Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that there's both a Galarian Slowbro and a Galarian Slowking, I was like, oh, forget about it. That's awesome.
And what if they do another one? Like, what if they do a Galarian Slow Queen?
Dude, I would love that. I would love if they added another one. I think it's like really funny how like out of nowhere, Meowth and Slowpoke are like the Pokemon that have the most evolutionary options aside from Eevee.
Right. That's wild. So with the legendaries and stuff like that, like first of all, they said that hold on, what is his name? The Kung Fu boy. It's in this document.
Kubfu.
Cubfu, I think.
Cubfu, yeah, and then he evolves into Urshifu.
Yeah. What? Like they're legendaries and they can evolve? And they didn't say like because there's like mythical Pokemon. Like there's some mythical Pokemon that can evolve. Or come from eggs or whatever. That whole situation. Yeah,
but this is like the first quote unquote legendary that has like a proper evolution tree, and you can evolve into 2 different Pokemon, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's like what's going on with that?
Well, not different Pokemon, I guess, but different. There's
different versions of the
Right. And I think
in essence, they're pretty different because they're like different types and like all that. Like they're just as different as like Zacian is from Zamazenta or
right. Yeah, totally. And I feel like it was interesting because I think it was pretty clear that they said you can pick one or the other.
So like, I'm interested to get one or the other because how they evolve depends on choices you make in the dojo.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So that's really cool too. Like the fact that it's like
they're not like version exclusive.
Yeah. Right. It's cool that it's like tied to the story and you like make choices that affect how it evolves and stuff. Very interesting.
Right. And that's another thing that like we talked about, I know specifically on this podcast where it's like we were saying like how they approach this story and how it isn't like this big grand thing or whatever. And how I was saying I would have liked it better if they made the post game that where it's like this is the like our theme story that's like this thing that's like very like specific to the world of Pokemon outside of the like profession of being a Pokemon trainer or whatever, right? Like now it's the thing of like this is happening in this world, or you can get even better if you train and you journey to this guy's dojo and blah blah. Like I like the fact that that's in the like now I'm a trainer and I already did my rite of passage. I'm a Pokemon League champion. Now challenge me as the champion, you know, like give me tasks that are worthy of a champion, you know?
So, and it's cool that the guy who trains you was like Leon's mentor and everything. Like they're kind of furthering the lore a little bit. Like I feel like this is a really cool post game story, and I want to see more stories like this from Pokemon. Like the gym challenge and everything, like totally cool. I get that. I would love it if this is the status quo moving forward, where like the original part of the game is, hey, like you got to go and do your gym challenge and prove that you're like a real legit Pokemon master. And then now you can go on all these cool adventures because you're one of the best Pokemon trainers in the region, you know, like I think that's a natural evolution of your character. And yeah, that seems great.
That makes the most sense. Cause like I was saying, like me, it's always been a thing of like, dude, I got my Pokemon a week ago. You're telling me to save the universe, dude? Like, doesn't make any sense. But now it is this thing of like you're the Galar region champion and you beat this guy that's undefeated and he wears like 5 hats and he has sponsors. So it's like now it makes sense that it's this thing of like, now go on this quest and catch all these legendaries and blah blah blah.
But so you called this out before. How cool are the Galarian forms of the legendary birds?
So dope.
Oh my god!
I was like, what type is Zapdos? Like, what's going on there? Is he like a fighting type now?
I don't know. He's like orange, and he's like what? He looks like he's like a
Roadrunner sort of.
Yeah. Oh my god, he is like a Roadrunner for sure. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And like, how badass does Moltres look?
Yeah,
that's always been
Moltres. See, you know it's crazy. You know it's crazy. He's like Shadow Lugia, which. Are we getting freaking Shadow Lugia in this game?
Yo, please.
Because James Turner, like he designed that Pokemon.
Yeah.
And I mean, these 3 Pokemon having Galarian forms, it'd be kind of weird if Lugia didn't get a Galarian form.
Oh, that would be so cool. Don't
And
get
then
my
like
hopes up
if
too much.
Lugia gets a Galarian form, it'd be kind of weird if Ho-Oh doesn't, you know?
Oh
Like,
my god, that would be amazing. I would love that. I love the whole region variance thing. Like that was, I think, one of the coolest innovations in Sun and Moon. I'm so glad they kept that rolling,
yeah.
and to see them apply it to legendaries is like ridiculous, you know. Especially because all three of those Pokemon are like actually usable in like meta because they're not all Ubers, you know. So like, I'm so stoked on that. Like Zapdos is one of my all-time favorite Pokemon, so I'm so stoked about the idea of having like a new version.
Even though I disrespected Zapdos's whole existence in Pokemon Let's Go by catching him with a Pokeball.
Hey man, maybe he just really wanted to join your team.
That's where I established it. I was like, I'm irreverent. I don't really care about your status as a legend. I'm just catching you all in Pokeballs. I caught freaking what's his name? Eternatus or whatever in a Pokeball. Yeah. I caught
I did that too, actually.
I caught Zacian in an Ultra Ball. So like I'm not using the Master Ball. I'm not doing it. I refuse.
It's just a status symbol.
Yeah, exactly. Unless it's like something like I might use my Master Ball on something dumb, like just as the meme, like throw it at a freaking Caterpie or something.
Throw it at the Slowpoke, man.
I already caught it though.
Oh, there you go.
Still like the one worthy Pokemon, Slowpoke. Yeah.
And I was really hyped to see that they showed off those glimpses of the 2 new Reggies.
Yeah,
I love the Reggies, man.
The 3 was it 3? It was 3.
There was 2 new ones.
Hold on, wait. Yeah.
There was the one who had like the like kind
there's
of
electric one, and then there's like the dragon one.
Yeah, right.
Okay, yeah. It was
I was gonna say he's got that kind of like ethereal electric static around him, and the other one's got the dragon head for an arm.
Right.
Yeah, those look awesome, and I love.
Are they going to do 3?
I mean, they could.
Because the last one was 3, and then like, are we going to get another Regigigas sort of situation?
We get a Galarian Gigas.
Yeah, and then like, what are their names going to be? Like, is it going to be like Reggie Draco or something like that?
I was thinking for the electric one, maybe it's Reggie Shock.
Yeah, something or like
Reggie Bolt,
or something like that.
I don't know about
Zap, Reggie Zap.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm all about that. I think those new designs look great, and I think they've done really good with designing the new Pokemon and the new versions of old Pokemon. They've all been really cool. So
we got new Gigantamax Pokemon. They gave the freaking Turtle Boy more PVC pipes, so he has more cannons. And like Venusaur just embraced his potential to grow.
You're not about to just gloss over the Gigantamax Blastoise and be like, they gave him more cannon. He has a whole fortress on his back. It's amazing. Are you kidding me? That's the best. He's the best Pokemon they've ever made. And
that's not even true. That's
Blastoise
not even
is
true.
The best Pokemon. It's the best Pokemon, AJ.
False.
Listen, we all have our favorites. Respect mine, and I'll respect. Who's your favorite?
Charizard, man. That's
whack, dude. Come on.
You're whack.
Don't be so basic. Oh, I like
what? How's it? Wait, pause. How's it basic to like Charizard, but not basic to like Blastoise?
Because Charizard is in every game.
Because Charizard is the cool one.
Yeah, okay. Because he was in the anime, all right? Relax.
So is Blastoise. What are you talking about?
Not as a main character.
Yeah, it's because he peaked early, dude.
If Ash had a Blastoise...
Squirtle is the best that Blastoise ever got. That's why Pokemon Trainer has Squirtle, and I already said that. I already established that the Pokemon Trainer, this is where his starters peaked. Ivysaur is like, after Ivysaur, Bulbasaur gets weird. So Ivysaur's like, I don't want to go that far, dude. And Charizard's like, man, I grew to beat my best.
You're killing me.
Because he gets weird at Charmeleon. I'll give you that.
Charmeleon's weird, yeah.
Yeah, but then he evolved, and
Look, I like Charizard fine. I'm just tired of this narrative that fire-type trainers want to push forward like he's the best. He wasn't even usable for like
this is the thing.
30 years.
This is the thing. I resent the fact that you just called me a fire-type trainer because I don't always pick the same type. I'm definitely not that type of dude, man.
All right, fine. Respect.
Some people always pick fire or whatever. Like Bob's like that. Bob's like, always pick the fire one. Someone basic score bunny and like all that crap.
I always pick water, but the last 2 gens, I picked grass because I didn't like the water starters as much.
See, this is the thing. I don't do that.
I'm out here, you know?
I'm all over the place, man. I don't even like. I think the only like real exception to my rule of like I picked this Pokemon or like like I didn't follow some sort of trend was Gen 1 and Gen 2 where I used all of them except for in Gen 2 Chikorita because Chikorita garbage.
I like Chikorita, and people hate way too much.
Chikorita's not good.
Bayleaf is the coolest. I
think Bayleaf and Chikorita look cool. I think Meganium was a mistake, but I think they're bad Pokemon. Like I think like as far as using them.
Oh yeah, they're not very good competitively. I like Bayleaf's design a lot though.
Yeah, I like Bayleaf's design too. Again, like this is I mean Ash is pretty stupid, but he made a good decision getting a Chikorita that doesn't want to evolve past that. Past Bayleaf. Because Bayleaf, again, peak. It's the best it gets.
That's fair.
But speaking of the starters, we also got Gigantamax forms.
Yeah, like finally. I didn't realize they didn't have them.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me though. Because like with Sun and Moon and like they didn't get mega forms. For like the new starters in X and Y or whatever. Like,
yeah, fair enough.
We only got megas for the older Pokemon. So it doesn't surprise me that much. Or, I mean, yeah, but you also got to think of the fact that like in this game, they didn't really follow that trend anyway.
Yeah.
Because like new Pokemon did get Gigantamax forms. And
it's all over the map.
And this is like a random, like, I don't know, tangent from the, but it's like, I wonder, I mean, you'd have to assume that they planned this from the start. But it's weird that like there were Pokemon that aren't available to be caught that are in the code, but none of this is. Right? Because like I'd assume that like a good portion of like like the Kanto starters and stuff like that, like they're in the game's code, but I would assume that we can't catch them until these expansions come out.
My guess is that they had this planned on some level, and I wonder if the expansion to having 200 of the older Pokemon was in response to the fan reaction of wanting the Dex expanded, Because I think the DLC plan was definitely a given, right? Given the fact that we know that there was that data of stuff that was not in the game at launch, But I wonder if the scope of it was expanded over time.
Right. And I wonder if it'll expand again. Like, I wonder if it's
possible
become a thing. Because, like, a lot of the Pokemon that are missing are Gen 4 Pokemon. So was that their plan to, like, then add the Gen 4 Pokemon through the, like, the Gen 4 remix?
If you'll remember, I theorized that when we talked about the game on both of our shows last time, which is that, look, relax, everybody. They're coming eventually. We know that there's going to be another game or a Gen 4 remake or whatever, and we'll probably get the rest of them, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, and that's where, like, people were, like, similar to this, or, like, but I don't want to buy them, and blah, blah. And the thing that's cool about this is, like, at least for, like, the raid battles and stuff like that, I don't know about the, the Tundra expansions ones where they're like more than just battles. It's like you're exploring the under the
you're going in the caves and everything.
I don't know how accessible that'll be for people that that don't buy the DLC, but at least for the raid battles you can join in with people that you're friends with, or that you see their stickers or whatever. You can join in those if you don't have the expansion.
Right. Also, I think it's worth pointing out, right? Like, if you are one of these people who is complaining about the Pokemon not transferring over, you probably have played the games in the past. So you can transfer over any of those Pokemon from home. The only thing you'd have to trade for is the actual new Pokemon. Yeah. Like Slowpoke or the birds or whatever other Pokemon,
Which I don't even know if you would have to do that. Because I'd assume that when you breed a regular Slowpoke, the egg that comes out is going to be a Galarian Slowpoke.
No, it doesn't work that way.
Because when you breed Meowth in this, the Pokemon that comes out is Galarian Meowth.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That wasn't how it worked in USM, was it?
I don't
okay.
know.
I'm wrong about that one then.
I didn't breed in those games.
That's very surprising.
Because that's what I thought. I assumed that when I did the egg, it was like, oh, if I breed, a Kanto Meowth, then that's how I'm going to get my Persian or whatever, right? Because the event one with that can Gigantamax can't evolve. So I was like, I need Persian, but I don't have a Persian, so I'm going to do that.
That's really
and I
interesting.
tried hatching the egg, and it was a freaking Galarian Meowth. I was like, yo, what's up with that? It's like that's dumb. So yeah, it's like I would say like for at least the Galarian, the Pokemon that we have access to that have new Galarian forms, with the exception of obviously like the legendaries. Just make eggs, and then you'll have the Galarian form of those. I don't know how they plan to, other than trading, give access to people, give access to like the Slowbro and Slowking, because you need items for them or whatever. Now, I mean, you probably have to go through whatever story content that they have, in the expansion pass to obtain that.
I mean, it's also like theoretically those could be items that you can get multiples of, though, and you could just trade somebody, and
right.
I'm sure it's not that complicated.
Yeah, that's true. Also, less important, but I mean, we're getting new outfits, boys.
Lots of them. Yeah, they're like over 100 new outfits. There's going to be customizable bikes, new hairstyles. Like, you're going to be able to get a bunch of the outfits from the NPCs from the original game. Like, lots of cool stuff for sure.
Yeah, and the girl continues to have the better backpack. The boy backpack is dumb.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
And there's more variants to it too. Like, that's the thing that annoys me, because it's like it's just like a straight up like suitcase on your back.
Yeah,
and it's always that, like the color changes or whatever. But for the girl backpack, there's like
all these different styles.
Like the shape of it is physically like significantly different. There's like some that are like a person, and there's other like a backpack.
Yeah.
And then when I saw that in there, I was like, all right, can we like buy normal backpacks now? And I was like, nah, that's just the girls. But
I want a fresh bag, guys. Come on.
I know, man. There's outfits that like, I mean, there's certain like clothing items and accessories and stuff like that I just don't buy in these games, and that's gloves, because like I'm not gonna wear gloves.
Yeah, they look stupid.
Yeah, exactly. And like
my thing is like, I
don't buy glasses or bags either.
See, I wear glasses, so as soon as I got these glasses specifically, I'm good. And the first place you go in the city where you can go to the barber, they had an undercut and let me dye my hair blue. All right, check. And then
see, that's the thing. I don't have that, man. Because like I guess that's like because like like the shape of my hair is closer to that than anything else that's in the game.
Sure,
but they don't have anything that's like my hair, so I'm like, it's dumb.
You'll get there eventually. It took me a long time before I could actually have characters look like me in video games. It's just now happening. But my guy, like, he looks exactly like me. It's ridiculous. So it's like, I'm not going to buy any new clothes. My guy looks perfect.
They need to just, like, let me take my me and then say, hey, game, this is my me. Do the Pokemon version of this. Because my me looks exactly like me.
See, you still can't make a me that actually looks like me. So I'm like,
Rip, dude.
I'm over it.
Rip. Sad. But also there's like new NPCs and stuff. There's like freaking Mustard, yeah, who's the dojo guy we were talking about earlier. Yeah, who's Leon's apprentice or whatever. I mean, not apprentice, his freaking
opposite.
The opposite.
His master,
man.
Yeah, and then we got Clara and Avery, and like I saw the internet light on fire when they saw Clara. We're like, oh, we all have a new waifu. Great.
Of course they did. Of course they did.
Of course.
But she's a poison type Pokemon trainer, dude.
Yeah,
or gym leader, or like aspiring gym leader.
They're aspiring gym leaders, is what they said. Yeah, they're training at the dojo so that they can eventually become gym leaders themselves.
Yeah, and like, what does that even mean? Like, are we going to get? Is it going to be more gyms in this or something? Like, what's going on with that?
I took it to mean that they were doing that with the like expectation that eventually they would challenge the existing gym leaders and replace somebody in the same way that Bede did,
Right. That's true. That's a good point. I don't think did we miss anything other than, well, we kind of talked about the fact that like, like Galarian Slowpoke, and you can get him now by updating the game.
Yeah, and you can actually meet Clara or the other guy. Avery. I forget his name. Yeah, Avery. You can meet whichever one of them is your corresponding versions by going to the train station, which is tight. Also, I have to go do that later tonight.
I did it yesterday. And also you can get a freaking Gigantamax, Lapras, or Colossal.
Yeah.
And I'm sad because I have Sword and I want Galarian Lapras, but
Here's the deal, man. Go. I'll catch an extra one. You catch the extra one of yours, and we'll trade.
Lit, fam. See, this is why.
Yeah, man. This is what Pokemon's about. It's about having friends.
It's about, man. I don't even gotta buy Shield just for Lapras, man. Exactly. The internet lied to me.
The only other thing that I thought was worth pointing out was there was a quote up in the beginning that was talking about the inspiration for the regions, and I thought that was pretty cool. Omori-san said, quote, "The Galar region in Pokemon Sword and Shield was inspired by the United Kingdom. In the expansion pass, players will visit 2 brand new areas, the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra. Isle of Armor is a location inspired by the Isle of Man, which is an island right off the coast of the UK, and Crown Tundra is based on Scotland, which is cool."
Hey, that's dope, because I said before the game came out that they should do that.
Yep, yeah, and it's awesome. I think these are like really cool additions. They have like a lot of biodiversity. Like the Isle of Armor is like real tropical. There's bogs and caves and sand dunes and beaches and big forests and everything. And then like the Crown Tundra is like, you know, this like icy, frozen environment. And I know on a recent episode of the Potscast, I got asked like, what would you want to see as a gimmick for the next Pokemon game? And I was like, man, I would love one that's like all snow, like all mountains and stuff. So this is like right up my alley for sure.
You mean like Sinnoh?
Well, yeah, but that wasn't like the whole thing. There's like only like part of it that's like that, you know, which is cool. Like, no, it's no problem.
It's just not like the opposite of like Hoenn or like freaking Alola or whatever.
Yeah,
like the bulk of it is one like type of biome or whatever.
Yeah, in the way that Alola committed to a island tropical environment, I would love to see them do that with like a desert, with like a mountain, with like
like we were talking about that with like India. Which like now I hate this DLC, because what if it was just like freaking India? What if it was that? Bad DLC, lazy devs, or what if they do a third version and it takes place in like the India equivalent of Pokemon?
That would be buck wild. Like if they made a third game that was in a different region, that would be nuts.
That'd be wild.
Stranger things. It could happen, I guess. I don't know. Who knows?
Hey, we already have one of their Pokemon. Or maybe this is like a freaking, you know, like Togepi and Kanto sort of situation.
Sure.
And they're teasing the next region with that. Maybe that's what it is.
I'd be about it.
And we'll see that in like 2025 or whatever. Or hopefully like 2027.
My God, I would love if there was that much of a gap between Pokemon games. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, man. They got to do it. I mean, they have the way to do it. Like, for me, it's like I completely understood where they're coming from and why their improvement is glacial, is because the games aren't as important as we think they are. Like, as far as like their revenue stream goes, it's like less than 25%. It's
all about merch.
Yeah, exactly. So the only thing is like the games exist to facilitate the other things in a very like superficial way. So they just need to come out, right? Like that's the thing that they need to do. We want them to be like the best possible thing, and like, you know, like the Breath of the Wilds, right? Because Pokemon as a property is such a big deal. But as far as the property goes, the games aren't really, you know, like they don't have that weight.
But I think what, and we talked about this before, I think what they're setting up here is a model where they can have their cake and eat it too.
Right, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that this is the best way for them to do it, because they have to continue on. They need to release a Pokemon game of some sort every year. That's something that they need to do, just with how their business model works. And
this is like perfect because, right, like we're getting new Pokemon, which means that they can print a new set of cards. They have new locations you can go to in the anime. Exactly. You have new action figures and plushes and stuff to flood the Nintendo store. It's like it's best of both worlds.
Yeah, and already right here they got at least 4 seasons of the anime. So we got they bought themselves 4 years at least,
which would be
potentially
fantastic,
even longer than that. Because
I would love that.
Because right now in the anime, they're in Kanto still. Like they went back to Kanto in the anime.
I don't know.
Like that's like the whole thing of this season. At least from what I heard of it, I didn't watch any of it yet. But the whole thing is like Ash traveling in different regions and stuff like that.
Right.
So like I mean, they already kind of bought themselves a lot of time. with that.
And I love that idea. Like if the next actual proper Pokemon game, because again, right? Say this year is DLC, next year we get Gen 4 remake, year after that is Gen 4 remake DLC, and then we get an actual new Pokemon game, like new engine, like all that, from the ground up rebuilding thing isn't for what? 3 years since Sword and Shield came out. That would be phenomenal.
I think it would be longer than that.
I hope so. Take as much time as they can. Seriously.
I think if they do DLC for whatever Diamond and Pearl, however they do that, I think that at least 4 years from like now.
Yeah, I mean, it would be 2019 is Sword and Shield release. 2020 is this DLC. Say 2021, we get the next game. 2022, 2023 would be, so it would actually be 5 years. Totally, that would be amazing.
Right. That'd be dope. I'm down for that.
Fingers crossed.
But I mean, I think that's everything from the direct.
Yeah, that's like the lion's share of it. We know that Pokemon Home's coming out in February,
which is the next thing that we're going to talk about.
I'm transitioning.
Pokemon Home, dude. It's happening, and we have a date. We know next to nothing else, though. So Pokemon Home comes out February. We don't know when in February. What if? Because like part of something that people were speculating was that it's like, oh, what if we get the next Pokemon? I mean, the Smash Brothers announcement in this, because like Smash Brothers is supposed to get its last DLC by February or whatever. What if it is though? Like, what if the last DLC or like the last DLC for that pass or whatever is a Pokemon?
That would be so weird.
And what if it is like an older Pokemon? Like, no. Okay, so what I want, like the perfect scenario, is that they do freaking what was the 3 that I said? Score Buddy, Drizzile, and Rillaboom as a Pokemon trainer. Not Echo, but like
like a new one
or whatever.
Galarian Pokemon trainer.
Yeah, exactly. Instead, what if they do a Gen 4 version of that? Because that kind of ties into Pokemon Home, and then they do freaking, I don't know, like Chimchar.
I don't think it'll happen though. I think it's going to be another third-party character.
Yeah, probably. But what if? I don't know who it is, but I mean, I don't really care. Honestly, I already have the character that I like, and I got from the DLC. I got one character that's like, yeah, that character's cool, and that's Banjo-Kazooie, and I was like, okay, I don't care what else they do with this.
So I'm good.
The only part of it that interests me is like more people to fight and learn. They're like, but I don't really care as far as like I'm going to main the next DLC. I don't really care about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they freaking talked a little bit about Pokemon Home, and Parker was saying that he's not sure if it's anything more than like a Pokemon Bank successor or whatever.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
I'm like, we know that it's more than that because they already said that it's more than that. They didn't talk much about what else they're going to add to it. In this specifically, but they did confirm that like the stuff with like Pokemon Global Link and all that, like that's transitioning to being a part of Pokemon Home.
Which is fine. I think it'll have additional features, but I think it is largely going to be a bank successor. It'll have more stuff. It'll have some maybe some in-game options like that, but I don't think it's going to be anything too significant.
Yeah. I wonder what, because they did confirm that it's going to be paid. So like, is it going to be like the same, like exact, like how much Pokemon Bank costs? Because Pokemon Bank's like what, $5 a year or something?
Yeah, it's like nothing.
Yeah. I mean, people are going to complain about it anyway.
I mean, people will complain about anything, so
yeah.
Whatever. We'll have to see.
It's like I already paid $60 and I'm paying for Pokemon Online. I mean, Nintendo Switch Online and like all that crap. But yeah, I mean, hopefully that's what they do. It's like the same price, or if they add more, maybe it's more. Who knows? But it depends on how much. Like, I don't know. It couldn't be like freaking $20 a year. They can't do that.
No,
they couldn't do that. So it'll probably be around the same price. Are there any like specific Pokemon that like when Home got announced, other than like the ones that we don't know if they're going to be available in the game? Like I know Grimhane's been talking about for a long time. He has a 6 IV Ditto. Or maybe it's just a foreign Ditto or whatever. That you're like, man, I can't wait until Home comes out. I want to transfer this.
Yeah, I mean, I've got tons of competitive Pokemon that I've built up over the years that I would love to be able to pull over and and like create new breeding fodder and everything like that if I need to make some of like the new play sets work and all that kind of stuff. Like there's a lot You know, I don't need the 6 IV Ditto because I'm a monster and I bought one on eBay.
Oh my god!
I bought
See, that's the thing. No, I'm upset because the whole thing that people were like complaining about with the initial announcement of Pokemon Sword. It's like, well, we're not going to be able to have a Pokemon. Where I lost the data on my Pokemon Ultra Sun, and that had every Pokemon I ever caught on it. And I was like, whatever, it's gone. I'll just catch new Pokemon. But I had and I didn't pay for it. Somebody wonder traded me a 6 IV Japanese shiny Ditto.
Yeah, I had a legitimate one too. This one I got specifically because I was like, I want to start breeding and I don't want to wait for home. So, and
you did that now? I didn't even know.
Now
I
did it now. Yeah. So what I did was I have a friend who he's like my best friend since childhood, and he hit me up and was like, "Yo, I bought a shiny Charmander with 6 IVs on eBay for like $1, and I went and found a Ditto person, and I was like, whatever, let's see if it works." And I was like $2, and within 10 minutes he traded it to me, and I was like, okay, great. Breeding just became a million times easier.
Yo, link me to that guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm 100% down. Also, we need to like freaking play this game, man.
I know.
Battle and raid and stuff.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm still getting my like my batch of competitive Pokemon together and everything. But once I'm ready for some proper battles, we should totally like I'll jump in on one of your streams or something. That'd be great.
Yeah, I still need to do it because like whenever I stream or just because like there's like regulars and stuff like that I like. After like being doing this for a while and getting to know names and stuff like that, like I'll follow them on Twitter or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And there's a few people that like I'll play in Smash or whatever, and one of those guys, I'm not going to out him. I'm not going to out him. Normally I would, but I'm not going to do it. I'll respect.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. But this man was he's like one of the OG like subscribers of fanatixfour. Like I'm talking like within the first 3 videos that we uploaded, right? And he streamed a while ago, like I'm talking like obviously like 2015 or something like that because it was Pokémon tournament. Sure. And he was streaming. I was like, I'll go in there. I freaking wrecked him in his stream. And then he was like, oh man, it's like this is the last game that this is gonna happen in. Just wait until the next Smash Bros. Game comes out. I was like, nah, man, that's not happening in Smash Brothers. So then Smash Bros. Came out again, so then he was like, oh, but wait until Pokemon, that's a whole nother game, blah blah blah. I was like, oh, is it now? And right now I'm 2-0, man.
You're throwing shade. You're throwing some serious shade.
That's all I'm saying.
Calling this man out.
That's all I'm saying. And I mean, I also battled like Mega Man, who's a regular in our we have celebrities like Mega Man. Did you know Mega Man's from New Zealand? Who knew?
I did not. Wow.
But I also battled him. And that was a good time. We battled on stream. But he didn't throw shade at me. He wasn't talking crap. So it's not, not going to do the same thing that I did to the other guy that you know who you are. You know your name.
Damn.
But I mean, continue with the Pokemon theme because, like, I mean, there's other stuff that happened, like freaking.
That's everything.
Nintendo, like they took 80% of the freaking Japanese market or something like that last year. But like, duh, But there's Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go is more successful than it's ever been in 2019. People said it was dead in 2016 is when it came out. Yeah. People were like, oh, this game dead. Remember when Pokemon Go was popular for a week or whatever? It's like, nah, man, it's still making hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Like it's still making more money than most games that come out.
Yeah, totally wild. I would not have guessed that, because I remember that time very fondly of when it was like a thing and
like you saw literally anybody looking at their phone, they're like, oh, they're playing Pokemon.
It was wild, and like I don't see that anymore, really, so like I think of it as a thing where it's like it's got its audience, it makes a lot of money, like, but it's not what it was, and it's like, oh my god, I'm totally wrong. Like it's breaking in money hand over fist.
Yeah, I think that Pokemon Go, it's still like it was consistent with the bulk of the people that played it and that spent money on it. But those people played it more like how I think I play it, where it's like, I'm out and I have my phone and I remember this game exists, so I'll play it. Whereas in the first week, people were like Pokemon trainers, dude. They're like,
Yeah.
we're gonna go out and we're gonna look for Pokemon. You know, like people don't do that anymore. They're not leaving their house to play Pokemon. They're leaving their house to do other stuff, and they're playing Pokemon while they're there. You know,
right?
But yeah, that happened, and
yeah, it's cool. Shout out.
Cool, you know. But I think that's the news.
Next segment.
You have any news? You got anything to announce? Did you catch a real life Pokemon or something?
I am not at liberty to discuss that right now, but we can talk about it off air.
Oh, man. As long as it's not a Squirtle. Well, if it's a Squirtle, just don't evolve it. Just press the B button.
Get out. Get out.
Just press the B button.
Don't you dare disrespect my favorite Pokemon like that. That is rude. I came on this show and salvaged it for you. And then you throw shade at it. Come on, man.
I mean, I didn't throw shade at it. I threw shade. I mean, I didn't throw shade at you. I threw shade at Blastoise.
Right, which is like, that is my heart and soul, man. Come on.
I mean, you know, like, at least we have common ground that Squirtle's cool.
I do love Squirtle.
You know,
Squirtle Squad for life.
Squirtle's great. You know, Squirtle is still currently my background on my phone.
It's a good background.
Whenever I post a picture, and it's like completely unrelated. Like I posted a picture of something that Bob said to me, and it was like he said an expletive, and I was like, man, look at how YouTubers are to their fans, man.
Yeah, I remember.
And half of the comments are phone. What's your phone wallpaper? Link me that. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going through my freaking camera roll to find this wallpaper or whatever. I'm not doing that. But yeah, Squirtle's cool, man. Squirtle's cool. But also cool, I made videos this week. It's about Nintendo Switch and how it might exist in the year 2020 because people are talking about Nintendo Switch Pro. But like, what would that be? And what does it need to be to matter? But not matter too much to make people angry, you know?
That's like, the fine line.
Yeah, exactly. Like it can't. It needs to be enough to make people want to buy it, but not enough that people feel like they have to buy it.
Right. Yeah.
The bulk of people, because they're still going to like. There's people like the ones that are like, I'm going to spend $180 to have all the Pokemon. You know, there's those people.
Right, and they're going to be mad no matter what. So yeah, exactly. Who cares? But I'm talking about. You got to appeal to the real ones like me, because I'll buy it.
Exactly, man. You'll buy it, and then you'll talk about it on podcasts.
I'll evangelize for you. Hit me up, Nintendo. Hashtag Nintendo influencer. Hashtag Pokemon influencer.
Yeah, exactly. Then you got to put hashtag free game after everything. And people are like, how'd you get it free? Or they're going like, do you have to always add that? Or they're going to be like, this game isn't free. I had to pay for it. You know, it's not as great as it sounds, dude. I mean, it is, but it's not. There's cons.
It's hard to get free games.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I'm saying. I'm glad you understand my plight, dude. You understand me.
I've been there.
But yeah, 7, who also was a regular, she says, I was an early adopter, have the Switch V2, and will probably get the Pro if it's actually a thing because I like having the new shiny thing. Same. Also, if it has exclusive games, as in third-party devs can only get out of here, freaking Google, can only get certain games running on it, then I'll have to upgrade because even though I can just leave it and play something AAA on either of the stationary boxes, I'd be much happier with the option to have it on the most convenient platform. I agree. I said this in the video. But I'm the same way. I buy the shiny thing because I still have my freaking PlayStation up there. I have to mention every.
For me, it really depends. Like, I bought a PS4 Pro when I got a 4K TV because I was like, well, I have a 4K TV. So
see, that's the thing. I didn't go that deep with the new shiny thing.
I did that one. That's the only like new console because I rocked a OG 3DS the entire life cycle.
Oh no, I didn't do that. So I think that the only time that I'm like I gotta buy the new thing is when it's a Nintendo. The exception with that is DS. I didn't buy a DSi. But I got the freaking DS Lite. And
nope, I had a chunky original gray silver DS the entire time too, and I loved it.
Fake fan, dude.
Man. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But with the Switch, I use my Switch every single day. So if it's like beefed up at all, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
For what it's worth, I think the only reason why I bought the DS Lite is because my original DS, and I had like the freaking like special edition. I'm so upset. I had the like special edition Mario Kart DS.
Oh man,
and it's worth like,
at
least the last time that I checked, it was like worth like $900 used.
Ooh.
I was like,
wow.
Jesus Christ. But the screen broke. Not the screen, the top part of the shell,
like the hinge.
Yeah, and the screen still works until it didn't, and then I was like, well, I gotta buy a new DS now.
That's a bummer.
But yeah, back to this comment. That is, if it's still a hybrid. If I'll just, I can't read right now.
You're in trouble, man.
It'll just be a home console, which I doubt and agree kind of defeats the point of the Switch, then I really wouldn't care to get multi-platform games on it, since they'll still look and run better on the other two stationary boxes or PC. I like how she calls them stationary boxes.
Yeah.
I don't think / don't hope any first-party games will be exclusive to the Pro. I don't either, because that'll just piss people off. That's true. Especially if it doesn't stay a hybrid console. All that being said, I really don't know who I'd give. Oh yeah, so she got the original Switch, and then she got the new Switch,
right?
And she gave her old Switch to her mom. For context on what she's about to say next, she said, "I really don't know who I'd give my mom's Switch to if I get the Pro, and she keeps my current one. I can't give it to either of my two nieces or nephew, because then the other two will want one and they'll fight about it. My cat seems to enjoy watching Pokemon running around in the wild area, so maybe that can be his birthday present." That would be wild, dude. Like, there's like pet people is like that. They do the whole thing and they like get do you do that? You get like a birthday cake and stuff.
I've never done that.
Okay.
I've gotten like, I'll get them like a new toy or something like that, maybe, but I don't go like crazy with it.
Yeah, like getting a Switch is next level, dude.
That's
next level. Like there's tiers. There's people that don't even know their pet's birthday, and then there's people that's like, I'll give them like a toy or a treat or whatever, and then there's throwing the birthday party, and then there's buying them a Switch or giving them a Switch. Like that's wild, dude. And I guess like above that is like celebrities that buy them like mansions and stuff. that's the level after that. But yeah, I agree with all of the things that you said. Thank you. G Pimpio 1 says, a console-only Switch seems dumb, especially when considering this will mostly be for third-party games. See, the thing about it is, like, I think that it'll mostly be for third-party games because they would be the only ones to care to, like, use it for what it can do at its maximum. I don't think Nintendo would want to do that. I don't think Nintendo operates in that way, where they're like, we gotta juice this thing for all the power that it has.
Yeah, well, and I think especially when you look at how the new 3DS worked out for them, like that wasn't. I don't think that splitting your SKU makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't see that's the thing is like I don't know what the breakdown was for who bought what in terms of like how many new 3DSs got sold.
But it's the thing of like, it's definitely a fraction of how many 3DSs there are. And you think about the 4 exclusive new 3DS games, and like, I bet those all sold terribly.
Yeah. I think it really just depends on what it is. Cause like, if you look at like the original DS to like DS Lite, like DS Lite was the thing. That was what made everybody want to buy a DS.
That was when it popped off. But so again, like, those shared a console library. Like it's not, I think,
that's what I think it is. I think that for Nintendo, they want to be Apple. They want to make the new thing, like they want to have an iPad Pro or whatever, but they don't want iPad Pro to cannibalize the original, like, or the regular iPad.
Yeah, and make it irrelevant, Yeah.
But he continues and says the people who have the interest and money to drop on a Switch Pro likely already have a different and better way to play third-party games at home. Third-party Wii U ports were dumb because they typically came out after the other versions and were full priced. Sometimes, I mean, technically they were more. But yeah, Mass Effect 3 on Wii U being more being more expensive than Mass Effect Trilogy on Xbox, PS3, and PC come to mind. Portability is the reason third-party ports are good on the Switch, despite Switch having the same negatives as the Wii U.
It does not have the same negatives as the Wii U. I got to disagree with you there.
I think he means like on a technical level. Like the gap is like probably bigger as far as like next gen goes. the Wii U compared to like Xbox Series X has a bigger gap than Wii U did to like Xbox One.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't think that's mattered that much though.
Yeah, I still don't think it matters. I don't think it'll matter moving forward because like, and I mean, I've said this since before Switch came out. It's not the Wii generation anymore. No. Like, the power that is in these new consoles is not enough to make the game depend on it at its core. Like the only thing that is like, oh, I don't know if this game's gonna run, it's all visual things. It's not like, oh man, like the Switch couldn't play a game like Assassin's Creed Origins or whatever, right?
Right.
It's just it can't play a game like Assassin's Creed Origins and look like it does on those other platforms.
Right. So, yeah, The Witcher 3 is a perfect example of that. The fact that that game runs on Switch is like a testament to it can do a lot, you know? Right. I think it's just that like ultimately that's not what the Switch is trying to do. Like it doesn't need to be a high-powered graphical system, and if that's what you care about, you have other options, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But yes, I agree. It would be stupid. And I said that in the video that I think it would be dumb if they did. And there's a lot of people that want that. They're like, I want Nintendo to be the third clone, you know, like I want them to do what PlayStation and Xbox do.
There's no value in that.
Of each other. Exactly. I agree with that. And I think that like, even though I buy all three consoles, I think I will play them more if they differentiated themselves more. Like I honestly think I liked Xbox's original like game plan for Xbox One than I do their current one, because now they're just PlayStation. But
yeah, before, at least it was something different, right?
Exactly. Before they had something that set them apart. And if they could like stick the landing on what they want to do, if they can make people want to use Kinect, I think that could have been a really cool future.
Could have been,
but they dropped the ball. So.
I also think consumers spoke that we didn't really want it. Yeah. You know, I think motion controls have kind of gone away for a reason.
I don't think they have. I think that like
they have in the mass market. Like Nintendo still has them.
See, but that's the thing. Like I would say, like if we're talking masses in the way that like the actual definition, like Splatoon sold like what 7 million copies or something like that, more than that.
No, I just mean like there was a time when everyone was trying to jump on that bandwagon.
Yeah, I think
that moment has passed.
I think motion as a gimmick and as a thing of like, look, there's motion, that's come and gone. But I think that motion can have function.
I mean, it does in VR now.
Right.
That's the evolution
and
of it.
That's what I mean. Like if they could have used, if they could have made Kinect into something like that, right, where it became function and not this gimmick of like, you're in the game, or like it actually felt like you needed it to experience this good game, then I would have liked that future more. But as Kinect
Tech just wasn't there, though.
Then, yeah, it was dumb. But yes, like I said, I agree with what GPMPO once said. Blue. Like from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
Same thing.
We have a lot of celebrities, dude. Honestly, Nintendo would be super dumb to make any Switch Pro exclusive games, even if you can stream them on the older models. Oh, that was something else that I brought up in the video, that like I could see them. I couldn't see Nintendo make a game that's exclusive to Switch Pro, but I could see third parties feel comfortable with doing that and then give the option to stream those games.
Yeah.
And then later on, Nintendo make those games available to people that paid to stream them, unless they did it through a subscription model sort of situation. But if they did like how Google Stadia works now, where you buy the game, but like if Google Stadia blows up, you're SOL. I think that if you buy the game for streaming, then that just gives you access to it on their shop once you have the hardware to do it. Like how Apple's stuff works, where it's like, you have Angry Birds on your iPhone, you have it on everything.
Well, and it's also like, I know that they've done a little bit of streaming in Japan where you were able to get
Assassin's Creed.
Thank you.
Odyssey and Resident Evil 7. Mm-hmm. Or Biohazard 7 or whatever.
Right, yeah.
It is in Japan. There should be no segmentation in the market. A pro model should have better performance, loading times, and build quality, not pro exclusives.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I disagree with the part of it that like if they allow the option to stream it, I think that takes away the segmentation that they would be against, or fragmentation that they would be against.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
So yeah, I think that as long as they have an option for people to play this game, play these games, these third party games more specifically, that they would go ahead and do that. Like, and I think that anything that makes their next console, especially if it's like this $400, you know, like that's what speculation is saying, that like it's going to be like $400 or whatever. If they make this $400 thing, they got to make people that are like hardcore Nintendo fans and already have their Switch or whatever, they're going to want to make them want to buy this thing. Yeah. And if it's just a thing of like, you'll get 1080p more often, right? Like, I don't think that's enough.
No, I think $400 is a pretty high asking point too. I hope that it's closer to $350, but we'll see.
Yeah. And then the last comment from my video, Reed Alexander says, I totally agree with you, AJ. And for the record, I just went through and picked the top.
You just cherry picked all the people that agreed with you.
See, right? This is, for the record, I went through and picked top comments.
Sure.
So that's what that is. And I mean, a lot of times, if you're a regular listener to this podcast, I pick comments that are like, you're dumb and this is stupid and I hate everything about it. But
I wouldn't know. This is only the first time I've been on the show, right, AJ?
That's true. Right. Oh, is it the first time that you ever listened to this podcast? You never listened to our podcast before? All right.
Well, in this universe where this is the first time I've been on the show.
Oh, okay. Right. Oh, okay. So all right. So this is the new canon. You just came into existing then. Like,
yeah.
You just
popped out.
Yeah, it wasn't possible. Except you have knowledge on games somehow. Somehow. Right. You're freaking whoever birthed you instilled that knowledge.
It was Zawada, actually.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah.
That's wild. But Reed Alexander says, I totally agree with you, AJ, about pretty much everything you just said, LOL. I wouldn't like the idea of Nintendo going back to a home-only console. That's a weird way to phrase that. I just don't feel that it will sell well if they did that. I agree. Because they're not freaking Sony and they're not Microsoft. So they're. I
mean, and now that they've established this, like that's what makes the Switch so cool. Like it's connecting with people, I think, because it's a hybrid console, and like they own the handheld market and they have a thing that works at home.
Right.
So like, why mess with that?
Right. Also, I didn't even bring that up. Also, with Sharp IGZO. Is there like is it IGZO? IGZO displays coming to the new console? Probably. Possibly. That's the rumor. It'll at least be 1080p, 60 frames per second handheld, and 4K upscale when docked. I don't know about at least.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's bold. That's really bold. I don't think that it's going to hit 4K.
Something I mentioned in the video and that me and Parker talked about in the podcast before the video. I could see them having approximately out of the 1,000 games that are going to be on Switch. Probably more than that. How many games are on Switch now?
Thousands. I don't know.
Yeah,
like a lot.
When the 4,000 games are going to be in the Switch library, when all is said and done, I could see them having 5 4K games that are made by third parties that are using it as like a gimmick, right? Where it's like, as far as resolution goes, they're 4K, but they look like garbage. You know, like I can see that happening on a Switch Pro, but I couldn't see them be like Breath of the Wild 2 runs in 4K, 60. I doubt that.
1080 60 locked would be great. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I can see it being 1080 60 on like the console, like in console mode and handheld mode. Maybe like, well, definitely like like less visual fidelity or whatever in handheld, and like maybe even in some games it runs like at 30 in handheld mode, depending on what the game is. It would have to be like a single player thing. It probably couldn't be like a fighting game or nothing like that. To have like 2 different frame rates on the
right, yeah.
While having base PS4 and Xbox One power. Oh, I didn't add to that. Which, I mean, that doesn't even make any sense.
No.
Because base PlayStation 4 and Xbox One don't run games in 4K. But I do agree with that part. I could see it being like at most, I can see it in between like PS4, maybe a little bit towards PS4 Pro. I can see it being a little bit more powerful than PlayStation 4.
I think it's going to be maybe just south of the PS4 and Xbox One.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on the price point.
Yeah,
I think that for sure, if it's $400, I think it's going to be more powerful than PlayStation 4. But if it is like $350, $300, it's going to be like.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too confident on that one, but we'll see. I'd be wrong about that.
Yeah, I just think that with how, because currently, if they use the chipset that people are speculating that they will, it's around there. It's like a little bit more powerful than PlayStation.
That'd be nice.
But again, like that all depends on how, because right now, just as far as like, you know, teraflops go, the Switch is technically closer to Xbox One than what we're seeing, but they underclock it.
Right.
So who knows? They could underclock it again, and it ends up being like below Xbox One or whatever. We really have almost the same thought process when it comes to Nintendo. Apparently not, but I do agree a lot. I know I don't know you, but for some reason, I think that we could be cool. And oh my God, this took a turn, and eventually becoming friends in real life. Just putting that out there. LOL. Love y'all vids and keep up the great content. Yo, join our Discord, fam.
Come chat.
Come chat. But yeah, thanks for commenting, everybody. It was a good time on that video. I like making videos. They're great. They're fun. We're not going to talk about Parker's video because I don't know what Parker's thought process was on that. I can't say Parker agrees. So let's get into last week's comments from this very podcast. I don't know how this person wants me to say their name. Is it E equals cool or is it just equal?
I think it's just equal.
Equal says, Parker's insight that game streaming may reduce a developer's desire to create games under a console's restrictions was huge. I just don't see any sort of significant streaming happening on the Switch after I heard that, especially with how stringent. I didn't see the R for whatever reason. Stringent Nintendo already is with their online stuff.
I would agree with that if they didn't already do it in Japan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I think it's totally on the table. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but it's been done before. So
I don't think Nintendo will have any games available for streaming.
But they might allow other people to do it.
I think they definitely will allow other people to do it for sure, because they already are. Right. So it just depends on what their solutions are in-house. And I think that if Nintendo somehow, because you know they partner with Microsoft for their cloud thing, if they do have some sort of like, you know, system-wide solution for developers to go into like their you know, like their engine of choice and just press a button, you know, essentially, I think that we'll see it more often. But
I'm still holding out hope that that eventually we see Game Pass come to Switch.
Same.
Fresh.
I wouldn't be surprised by that.
I mean, there was that whole, I think it was at GDC where they had the talk about it, and one of the devices was Switch, and then they pulled that image out. Like, so I think
every time they talk about Games Pass, they gesture heavy for it to be on Switch. Like,
it happened
heavy. They're like, oh, we want it to be on all gaming platforms.
Yeah, with all of them. I mean, xCloud is going to change the game, so it'll be interesting to see. I think we will see streaming on Switch at some point.
Yeah, and I think that like Xbox just in general, especially in the next couple of years, all their games are going to be scalable to a degree. So that's like where they're moving towards. So yeah, because they're saying no exclusives on Series X for the first 2 years at least. So yeah, there's that. 7 returns and says, I agree with AJ about sacrificing some of the, what does this stand for? OTT visuals and spectacle of AAA games for the convenience of having a game on Switch.
I do not know what OTT means.
Same.
Okay, whatever.
Me either. That's why I just moved past it. We recently had some renovations done, and I had to box my PS4 and Xbox One. My Xbox One's here. That's plugged in. But my PlayStation 4 is over here somewhere. Even in the past 2 weeks since moving back, all I've done is unpack my dock because the games I play most are on Switch and work goes on no matter what. There's also been power outages, so I'm kind of too afraid to plug in my PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. And if I didn't have these issues, I'd still be more likely to get something like Red Dead Redemption 2 on Switch, since a lot of AAA games are these giant open world. Yeah, I agree. Because like I dropped Red Dead Redemption 2 because like I don't want to like freaking sit down and play that game. But if it was on Switch, I would be way more likely to do that. That take up way more commitment than a person with a job and or family can really give. If I have to actually sit down and play a game, I have to physically schedule a time slot for that. And even then, I can't really enjoy it because I feel like I should be doing something productive. Agreed. Realistically, especially me, like if I'm playing a game, if I can't make a video about it, I'm like, should I really be playing this game?
Yeah, I really had to break that habit for myself because I realized it was getting in the way of me enjoying video games. You know, it was like thinking about it like work too much.
Yeah. I'm like in this middle ground because like if I can't, that really just means, is this on Switch? Because like I talk about what I want to talk about for the most part. We're a Nintendo channel because that's the thing that's like the most successful. Mm-hmm. But it became the most successful because it was what I talked about the most because it's what I play the most, right?
Right.
So it's like half and half of like there's maybe 2 games a year that I'm like, oh, that's not on Switch and I want to play that and I'll play it because it's only 2 games. But Red Dead was just the second game that I didn't have time for. I played Spider-Man and I started Red Dead and I was like, I don't know about this.
I mean, Spider-Man's like so much easier. It's like a 20-hour experience versus Red Dead, which like I think I put 100 hours into it before I was done.
Right. Yeah, that was.
And it took me like 6 months. You know.
Yeah.
Of just chipping away at it.
Right. I played Red Dead for I think 10 hours, and like at least 2 of that was me playing poker. But she continues. Realistically, then, I'd be more likely to not just play, but actually finish a game if it was available to me in the car, in line, on vacation, or just on the toilet, since it feels like those are the only periods of empty time when I'm not really doing anything. And then she adds, the whole parsnip and apple discussion, which I'll fill you in on. The whole parsnip and apple discussion. You guys really did make a gaming channel as a front for a food channel, and I'm here for it. Hashtag fanatic foods.
That is my favorite hashtag.
Yeah, you know about this podcast, right?
Yeah.
I mean this hashtag, right? Oh wait, no, you canonically don't.
Canonically, I don't know about it, but it's in that extra knowledge that I was somehow imbibed with.
I gave it to you. By the way, I don't know what kind of oranges you have in the U.S., but over here, they're definitely not sour. Okay, so context. I don't know how parsnips came up. I think it was because we were talking about Animal Crossing or something. The
parsnips are underrated. They are good.
I mean, well, hey, sure. I don't know, and that we'll get to that also when Grimhane asks his question, or at the Grimhane corner segment when we go to that. But yeah, so we were talking about parsnips, the podcast before that, or whatever, and then Parker was describing parsnips for whatever reason, and he was like, they're kind of like a cross between a carrot and what was it? Potato, a carrot and potato, and I was like, wouldn't that be like a sweet potato? Like, isn't that more like closer?
Interesting.
Cross between,
I feel like they are both like that, but it's like
he was like they're on opposite sides of the like a parsnip is like more savory or something, and then like the sweet potato is more sweet.
Have you ever played Monster Rancher?
No.
So
I don't think so.
In Monster Rancher, there's this thing like you can fuse monsters, and you pick one monster that's like the base monster, and the other one which is kind of like, you know, and like you get one characteristic, and I feel like they're the opposite of that, where it's like parsnips are like if the base is a carrot and you mix it with a potato, it's a parsnip. If the base is a potato and you mix it with a carrot, sweet potato.
Okay, got you.
That's how it goes.
Okay, so context for the orange comment, and this is like a whole nother show. So every week, me and Bob do Sunday streams on youtube.com/wolfben, and we talk about random dumb stuff sometimes because like we don't want to talk about the game, you know, like we want to freaking talk about other stuff. You know what's happening on the screen, you're watching the game.
Exactly.
So we were talking about apples because my friend Ian from OK Beast said something about red apples being for cops. I was like, yeah, red apples are trash.
What?
Red apples are trash.
Oh my god. So green apples are trash.
Oh my god. So then freaking Bob was like he doesn't like green apples either. But he doesn't. I mean, but he likes oranges more. And I was like, I don't think that makes sense that you can say that you like oranges more than you like apples, but then you're like green apples are trash because. But I'm like I think green apples are closer to oranges than they are to red apples, and like vice versa.
This is a rabbit hole.
It is. It very much so is. So then that's where the sour part came in, and then I was like, oranges. Like that's the thing that they have in common is sourness. It's like oranges have a sourness to them that red apples do not. And green apples have a sourness to them that red apples do not.
That's why I like clementines, because they're not sour.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Sure.
I'm throwing a wrench in it. Clementines, they're better.
Somebody already brought that up. But so Bob's whole thing was like, oranges are not sour. And I was like, that's stupid. You're dumb. But also, I agree. Because like if what you think of as sour as you immediately go to the extreme, which is what a lot of people were doing. They're like, you must be eating you must be eating grapefruit. I'm like, no, because I'm not saying it's the most sour thing I've ever had. I'm just saying
somewhat sour.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's on that spectrum. Like if we take it to the scientific part of it, like on the pH scale, like a green apple is close. I mean, oranges are closer to a green apple than a red apple is. And that's what I'm saying. And then it became a whole thing about it being like oranges aren't sour, blah, blah, blah. So that's what that debate was. And that's
where do pears fall in there?
On the pH scale, like the sourness or whatever. Yeah. They're probably somewhere between like oranges and red apples.
I feel like they're below.
Below?
Like below a red apple. Some red apples are a little sour.
Yeah.
Pears are like not sour at all.
Right. Okay, yeah. I can see it being below.
Okay. All right, good. I'm glad we're on the same page.
But I don't like red apples, though. I don't like. See, this is the thing. Like, if I'm not huge in the sweets. Like, just generally, like cakes and pies and stuff like that. I like them. They're fine. If I have it, then cool. But like for stuff like soda or whatever, like I'm opting out of root beer. Don't want it. Give me like orange soda or something like that. I like stuff that's more sour in that regard. Like I prefer like sour, like like gummy bears and gummy worms to like chocolate.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
And that's why I like oranges more than red apples.
You're all good if you like green apples. It's just you're throwing out there that red apples are for cops.
Oh, no, they are for cops.
No, get out of here. I am not I have no cops, sir.
This is the thing. I'm like, when I say red apples, I don't, because like a lot of them are red, like there's freaking Fuji apples. And
there's several different kinds of red apples.
I'm talking about like the freaking like Red Delicious, like those.
Oh, Red Delicious sucks.
That's
the most basic apple.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
All right, I'm with you on that.
That's what I'm saying.
But like Macintosh, Jazz.
Yeah, see, but that's the thing. Like those apples are not like pure red. Like they're like gradients.
Okay, all right.
Like
fine.
Red Delicious are red apples. Like they're all red.
I'm with you on that one then. We're good.
That's what I'm saying. See, this is the thing. Most of my, like, when I have a debate or I have a stance on something, there's nuance there. But people are immediately thinking I'm thinking the extreme. They're like, oh, you said the oranges are sour. You think oranges are freaking lemons. I'm like, no, dude. It's not black and white. But yeah, that was from last podcast. Now we can get into this one with Q&A from Grimhane, who has gone up in rank since the last time you were on this podcast, I think. He's now Lord Commander Grimhane.
Wow.
And he asks...
Congratulations.
Yeah, I know. He says, where's Pete's Magic Dragon?
I mean, he's out back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you have a magic dragon. You don't have a turtle?
No, I do.
Oh, you do have a turtle?
Yeah, man.
Oh.
I got all kinds of kaiju at my disposal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, so how come you didn't leak freaking Gigantamax Blastoise then?
Because I'm not trying to, like, blow up Game Freak spot, Like, they were nice enough to send me a Gigantamax Blastoise in real life.
Oh, so that's what it is. But you just blew up their spot, though.
Well, now it's fine because it's been revealed. I didn't.
Oh, okay. I got you. I got it. I thought it was like, like review copies, like how they're like for hardware. Sometimes they're like, you got to send this back.
Like, you got to check this out.
Yeah. And then I thought that's what it was. I thought it was a loan, but apparently you just get to keep it.
Yeah. They know that I'm the realest Blastoise fan out there. So they wanted my take on it,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
He also says, why is Duncan a hop supporter? I didn't know he was a hop supporter. Duncan is in our Discord.
Okay.
I didn't know that. But again, like I'll reiterate, I'm not as against Hop as I once was.
I'm with you, man. Hop's fine. People need to give him a break, okay?
Yeah.
He has a good character arc.
Right.
He grows as a person.
Right. He accepts his place in the world.
Yeah.
And I respect that.
He's a good kid. He's a good kid. Give him a break.
Because it's like, yeah, Hop's garbage, but he knows it. Leon is also garbage, and he thinks that he's good. That's not good. It's not great. It's not a good trait. It's annoying, dude. So Hop, definitively better than Leon. Fight me. But also, how come this question wasn't before the Hop thing? But he also said, did Pete's magic dragon inflict damage to his head?
I wonder if he was saying, is that why is Duncan a Hop supporter? Like, does he have brain damage?
Oh, to inflict damage to Duncan's head. Yeah. Gotcha.
No, and my dragon did not do that. Very well behaved.
Oh, okay. I think you're just trying to not get sued. Do you think we'll get a second expansion pass? Or will we see another mainline Pokemon game in 2021? Or both? Because both is always okay.
I don't think we'll get a second expansion pass. I think we'll get a new game.
I mean, we kind of already gave our thoughts on this, but I don't think Sword and Shield will get a second expansion pass.
Yes.
I think that we can see expansion passes in the future, but not
perhaps.
For this game.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it just depends on how well this does.
That's it.
I mean, I don't know. Well, yeah. I think it entirely depends on how well it does. Because I was going to say like they would have to start on it in some way, but at the same time, it doesn't really seem like they probably like when Sword and Shield shipped, they probably had like a guerrilla team working on this. Like 5 people, fleshing everything out. And then once it actually came out, they're like, all right, looks like this game's doing pretty good. We can keep moving forward.
Yeah, as main production ramps down, the other production ramps up.
Right. So yeah. That's what I think, and that's also what Pete thinks by extension. Okay, and I brought this up in the beginning of the podcast with the mystery dungeon. I gave a tease to this part of the question. He says, "Now that we have confirmed AJ is in fact an Eevee, will you reconsider your stance on the fantastic Pokemon?" All right, so my stance.
You don't like Eevee?
This is not what I said. I don't appreciate people putting words in my mouth. I don't like Eevee if Eevee is just Eevee. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
Yeah, that's
so
fair.
Like for Pokemon Let's Go, I was like, okay, between the 2 Pokemon that I would prefer to keep unevolved, I like Pikachu more. Because I don't evolve my Pikachu anyway. So like, other than for the Pokedex, obviously. So that's why I went with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, because just as what they are, I like Pikachu more than I like Eevee. But if I can evolve Eevee, I like Eevee's evolutions. I mean, there's some of them that I don't like Flareon. Flareon trash. I mean, aesthetically, he's fine, I guess.
But like, Jesus, that it's never had a good. It's never been good.
It took him to like Gen 6 or 7 even for him to get Flare Blitz. That's ridiculous. Dumb.
And even with Flare Blitz, it's not that good.
He's a physical attacker, and he didn't have a physical fire type move for the bulk of his existence.
It had Fire Fang, which is not a good move.
He's garbage, dude.
Yeah, no, not good.
Trash. But
cool design though.
I mean, like Espeon's cool and Umbreon's cool and
Umbreon is cool. Bae. I love Umbreon.
Most of the evolutions are dope.
Yeah,
so that's why I was like halfway, because I'm like I went into this being like whatever I get is what I get, right? That's it's the fate, like I can't be bored and say like I like freaking Hazel Eyes better. I'm doing it over again, right? So that's what I did. I was born as my Pokemon self, and I accepted it. But also I accepted it because Eevee can be cool,
Yeah, I like Eevee quite a bit.
Right. So there's that. Also, he says, can you set a freaking exclamation point shout out command on Twitch, please? And will you do it before the next stream? So this is the thing. Grimhane and freaking Dan Cyber, twitch.tv/that cyber channel. I know too many people on the internet. But he was talking about, he pestered him for forever to add a shout out command to his Twitch because he's mods for both of us on Twitch. And then he was like, I've been pestering AJ to do the same thing. I was like, no, you haven't. He's like, I mentioned it before. I'm like, that's not pestering me.
That's not the same thing.
Yeah, like you mentioned it to me once is what gets us to what happened today, where it's like Parker tells me one time 2 weeks ago, hey, I'm not going to be here. And then I'm like, okay, I don't retain that information until you tell me at least 2 to 3 times.
So
and then I'll do something about it.
Here's what you got to do, Grimhane. You got to go follow @loud_Pete on Twitter, and then I'll tweet at AJ and I'll tell him to do it, and then it'll get done.
See, but here's the thing. Here's the twist. Literally, in this stream that happened yesterday, I added the command, and just to prove my point about telling somebody something once and then them not retaining information, I told you that I added the command in chat.
Wow.
So
Grimhame, you're embarrassing yourself, and you're about to lose your Lord Commander status. You're gonna get demoted at this rate.
The Pokeball is in your court, Grimhame. WD Rockin' Val 93. Rockin' Val. Val. She's a regular and also a Wolf Den fan, as you can see in the WD part.
I see.
Says, are you excited that we're going to see new Pokemon in the Sword/Shield DLC? If so, are there any new type matchups that you would like to see? Do you mean like dual type Pokemon?
I think that's what. Yeah, I think that's what she's saying.
That you would like to see that we haven't before. See, this is the thing. I'm not I know a lot about Pokemon, but I'm not that deep where it's I know off the top of my head what dual types we don't have yet.
My thing is I knew which ones I wanted, but I've gotten all of them. I used to want a water ghost. We got Jellicent. I wanted a water bug. We got Arachnoquid last time. I wanted fire water. We got Volcanion. So I'm good.
Yeah, I feel like those are the ones that the ones that I feel like are kind of obvious.
Yeah,
we have most of those.
But
there's stuff that off the top of your head, there's Pokemon that are this thing. I feel like a lot of people were oh, I want grass, ghost or whatever, right? And we have that, but nobody's thinking of freaking nobody's thinking of Trevenant and so it would be something like that where it's I want freaking dragon fighting, which we have. We got it last generation. It would be something like that.
I feel like we have almost all of them at this point. Yeah. I don't know if there are any left.
Give me. I mean, I think we even have this. Do we have freaking Fairy Dragon?
Yeah, Mega Altaria.
Yeah, we have everything. Yeah. We have everything.
Pretty much. I am excited about new Pokemon, though, for sure.
Same.
That's awesome.
And I want to see if they add more. Give freaking Arcanine a Galarian form, dude. Just do it.
I would love that.
That's all I want.
Give me as many Growliths as there are Meowths, please.
Yeah. We did a video for Alola, but it was around when Alola came out, or Sun and Moon, for the Sinnoh remakes. And we were give us these Sinnoh versions. And there was a Sinnoh Arcanine, and he's dope.
I'd be about it.
If you didn't see that video, people, check it out on our YouTube channel. Just search Sinnoh or something, and it'll pop up. Long Chris. Where's Short Chris? What did you do with him?
What about Medium Chris?
Yeah, what did you do? What did you do with the other Chris?
Or is he the final evolution?
That's true. So what happens when he Gigantamaxes?
Ooh, Giganticris.
Giganticris. If you could be any Pokemon, what would that be? And what two Pokemon would be your partner Pokemon? We get two partner Pokemon.
So I would be Squirtle. And I would say I would want a Bulbasaur and a Totodile.
How dare you, dude? Your team trash.
Your team trash.
I didn't even say my team. I could have said, you know what I could have said? I could have said I want to be a Squirtle and then the rest of my team be Squirtles.
That's the better answer. I want to be a Squirtle with Squirtle. That's it. And I get cool sunglasses.
But you already admitted that team's trash, so
no, that's the best squad.
Rip, dude.
Right?
If I could be any Pokemon, see, this is the thing. I like Charmander and Charizard and stuff like that, but I don't feel like I'm Charizard. I just think he's cool. So that's why I was I didn't care. Bob, he saw that I did. So I did I don't know if you saw this Twitter video or not. But when you walk behind your partner Pokemon, they can't handle it, dude. They're I'm not supposed to be here. So it's you're pushing them forward. And I think it did it in the old game, but it still does it now. And he was during the the internet thing did the thing.
Yeah, it did the thing again.
But yeah, during the only reason why I know that is because in Google Chrome it said, I mean, in like the document it says your internet connection, blah 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 or something. But yeah. So he was like, "Did you keep restarting until you got Charmander?" I was like, "No, I just picked him as my partner because I think Charmander's cool. So he would be one of my partners. Charmander,
easy move
because he's cool. But as far as like what Pokemon I would be, I don't know. I like the idea of being an Eevee because Eevee's like, you decide your own
unlimited potential. Yeah,
exactly.
I dig that.
Like Eevee, and then my partner would be Charmander, and then my other partner would be like, I don't know, like Trico. Because Trico's cool.
That team's trash, but okay.
No, you're trash. I mean, you canonically already think your team's trash, so there's that.
Canonically, great.
Yeah. So now we're moving into even more LootPots segment of this podcast with 2 more LootPots alum.
LootPots.com. Go check us out.
Yeah, go check it out. DJ says, "What are your thoughts on the Mystery Dungeon announcement? Would you have preferred a brand new?" I don't know why he put brand new game in quotes. Or
because this is a remake.
Are you? But like, okay. Or are you roped in with nostalgia just like me?
I am roped in with nostalgia. I don't think I would have picked up a new Mystery Dungeon, but I am interested in this one because I have fondness for this game.
Yeah, I think them doing a remake is a good way to like, rejuvenate the franchise.
Yeah.
I think this is like a good, like, like they're probably going to do with the garbage Crash Bandicoot series. They did the Insane trilogy. I had to
I'm on this show. I had to work it in. I salvage your podcast and you do nothing but disrespect me.
That's not true. We agreed a lot, dude.
Yeah, well,
we're on the same page for oranges and the Apple debate.
And now you're trying to start a feud again.
I'm not trying to start a feud. I'm just saying, like there's some things that are just, I'm just being honest. You want me to lie to you?
All right, fine.
I'm not going to lie to you. But anyway, like I was saying before I was rudely interrupted.
Oh, now I'm
I think that they're going to follow the same like roadmap where it's like, here's Mystery Dungeon. You remember that, dude? It was great. Yeah. And then 3 years from now, hey, here's a new Mystery Dungeon, or even sooner than that.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I think you're probably right.
Dungeon with the new Pokemon.
And by then, hopefully you'll have enjoyed the last one. You'll be like, oh, I actually would like a new one.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Maybe you wouldn't be a fake fan like Pete.
Okay. So again, this is you.
No, I'm just saying you were being a fake fan. You said you like Mystery Dungeon, and you proceeded to never play another Mystery Dungeon game again.
I said I like this one that I played. Oh my god! Oh my god! Read the last question. I'm done. I'm done. Mother of God!
I just think it's fun because you get real riled up. And it's hilarious. Nobody else gets that mad.
You got to keep the bit, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't break kayfabe,
Pixel Par, who just followed me today. It was a great time.
Oh.
Says, ask Pete about the time he completed Link's Awakening while still in the womb.
Yeah. So while I was gestating in my dad's belly, Mr. Iwata, I beat Link's Awakening, as a fetus. Yeah.
Oh, so okay, is that how you beat all games that you've ever beaten since you've just come into existence?
Mm-hmm.
How did Pixel Par know?
I mean, because I'm honest with them. We've been good friends in the one day I've been alive.
Yeah. Gotcha. Oh, so he follows you since you've come into like existence.
Yeah, even before that, I guess. I don't know. He's always kind of always been there.
Because he followed Parker a while ago.
Uncle Pixel.
And I was like on the freaking foundation I built.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Parker did write us like 5 jingles.
That's true.
And I hit him up for the Game of the Year. I was like, yo, I need a Game of the Year jingle. Can you hook me up? And my man delivered.
That's true. But he followed Parker around he did like the direct predictions video.
Okay.
I think it was around then.
So
but it's fair. It's acceptable. I accept.
Yeah, this is a running joke on our show because I mentioned the fact that Link's Awakening is like the first serious game I ever beat when I was very young, and somehow Pixel and my other co-hosts on our the podcast we do, the podcast, Steve, have like twisted it into this narrative that I was like bragging about the fact that I beat the game or whatever. It's like, these guys need to chill because I'm getting real sick of it.
Yeah, I feel like you just can't, especially like around the era where we like started playing games and stuff. You know, like in the like SNES, like around that time frame.
Yeah.
You can't really mention the first games that you beat because it's like one of the first games I ever remember beating was Lion King, and people are like, that game is impossible and blah blah. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it didn't feel impossible to beat.
It's one of those things where it's like, yeah,
you're a child and you have unlimited time.
Exactly. And I started it 3 times over. You know, like killing me. Absolutely killing me.
Yeah, man. Right. Well,
anyway.
Thanks for joining me on your first ever podcast.
Oh man, this is the first podcast I've ever been on because I'm a newborn baby. So
yeah, exactly.
This is great.
This is
I should do one of these. You know?
Yeah, you should
let's start my own show.
You should host a show. What would that theoretical show be called, and where can people find it?
I mean, I think I would do 2 shows. I would do a show about comic books, and it would be called The Comics Pals, which you can check out every Monday on podcast services and over on our YouTube channel as well. And also, then I would. Yeah, links in the description. And I would do a Nintendo podcast, I think just like this one, you know? I think I'd call it the Potscast, and I'd have 2 obnoxious British guys on it, you know?
You should maybe invite me sometime.
Well, yeah, I mean, eventually, I guess.
Yeah. Someday.
Yeah, someday.
Far into the future.
The far-flung future.
Yeah. And also, I mean, maybe you should invite Parker, you know?
Man, I can't believe he still hasn't been on the show. It kills me.
I mean, it's his own fault.
I've invited him several times. He's always busy.
Apparently you didn't.
Oh, okay.
Apparently Steve did.
Oh, what? I totally invited him.
No, you didn't exist yet. But I was on the show that you're on now. I think. But you weren't there. You didn't exist. I don't know. This lore is confusing.
It's getting really convoluted.
It's like a Kingdom Hearts game.
That's accurate.
Anyway, if you enjoyed this podcast, why don't you hit that subscribe button, dude? And if you're on podcast services, why don't you rate it and say something nice?
5 stars.
5 whole stars. Or if you don't like it, I mean, why are you here at this point of the podcast?
You sat through this whole thing and you didn't like it? Wow.
You sat through this whole thing, man. You're a strange person.
What a masochist.
What a weirdo. But anyway, goodbye. See you next week, unless you're one of the people that didn't like it. Goodbye.
See you next time.